All right, we'll call to order our regular meeting of May 6, 2026. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey,
Here.
Commissioner Eversol,
Here.
Commissioner Graham,
Here.
Commissioner Helton, Dr. Highlander,
Here.
Dr. Mackey,
He is not with us this evening.
Commissioner Sharp,
Here.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Here. Our invocation and pledge by Commissioner Baker. Please rise.
And pleased to have Commissioner Highlander, who will be doing the prayer tonight, who crushed it last night.
Thank you. Let's pray. Great God in heaven, we thank you for all your blessings that we have living in this free nation. Lord, we thank you for this county and the chance that people have an opportunity to choose their leadership and those who are to serve them. And Lord, we are their servants. Thank you, Lord, for all your blessings to us in this county. Thank you for the leadership here. Lord, give us wisdom, godly wisdom, not just knowledge, but godly wisdom. Thank you for all your blessings. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Next, we have a presentation on our agenda. Commissioner Beck, sir, would you like to take the mic?
My Bill Hollander, is he in here? What about Mayor? Mayor, would you join me? Mr. Chairman, a while back, Ms. Miller announced her retirement, and I found out later she was one of our beautiful people in District 5. And so today we celebrate Robin Miller, a dedicated professional whose years of service has left a lasting mark on colleagues and community alike. Robin's commitment, kindness, and steady leadership have inspired everyone fortunate enough to work alongside her. As she begins this new chapter, we extend our deepest gratitude and warmest wishes for you and your health and fulfillment in the days to come. Congratulations, Ms. Robin. Would you please read the flag?
Hamilton County, Tennessee Board of Commissioners offers their congratulations to Robin Miller. On behalf of the officials and citizens of Hamilton County, we wish to honor and congratulate you on your years of dedicated service. Ms. Miller began her professional journey as a social worker with the Department of Human Services in Hamilton County, where she devoted 6 years to child protective services. Guided by a passion for justice and service, she pursued a legal education at the University of Tennessee College of Law, following in her father's footsteps. Upon returning to Chattanooga, Ms. Miller served as a litigator for over 20 years with Gearheiser, Peters, Elliott, and Cannon, PLLC, where she skillfully handled estate, trust, and domestic matters. She later continued her legal practice with Spears, Moore, Redmond, and Williams, PC, before being appointed clerk and master on September 8, 2014. Throughout her tenure, Ms. Miller has exemplified integrity, compassion, and unwavering dedication. She has provided exceptional leadership in the administration of the Clerk and Master's Office and has generously offered free mediation services in more than 500 cases, assisting individuals and families, many with limited resources, in resolving complex and often sensitive disputes. Your unique background as both a social worker and attorney has enabled you to approach each case with empathy and fairness, ensuring that all who appear before you are treated with dignity and respect. Your ability to guide litigants towards resolution has left a lasting impact on the community you faithfully served. Your professionalism, kindness, and commitment to public service has made you a valued colleague and a respected leader. Your presence will be deeply missed by the judiciary, legal community, and the citizens of Hamilton County. Whereas such excellence deserves public acclaim and recognition, now therefore be it resolved by the County of Hamilton that this certificate of congratulations be conferred, presented the 6th day of May, 2026.
And this is signed by all of the commissioners. Mr. Mayor.
Robin, I'll be brief here and I won't read the entirety of this proclamation because most of it was covered in that plaque. I'll say this briefly just because when I came into county government 3.5 years ago, got to work in this beautiful building. And this building is full of different offices of constitutional officers. Some have been here a while, some have been here for a shorter period of time. And there's no doubt that if you walk the halls of this courthouse on any given day, it is your spirit, your office's spirit, in a lot of ways that carries the day. And I'm grateful for that because it's a wonderful place to come to work. I want to skip towards the end here because I feel like this really captures the essence of your service. Whereas Ms. Miller is widely respected for her fairness, professionalism, and the dignity and respect she affords all who appear before her, ensuring that attorneys and litigants alike feel heard and valued. Whereas her career has been marked by a steadfast commitment to justice, service, and the people of Hamilton County, earning the admiration of judges, colleagues, and the community she has faithfully served. I felt like that was well said.
Thank you so
Robin,
much.
thank
Oh
you,
my
ma'am.
God. Thank you.
Don't be a stranger, you still gotta come hang out.
Oh, I will. Thank you all. Thank you, Commissioner and Mayor. I want to thank all of my guests who are here. My husband, many of you have never met him. He's Bob Byers. He spent his service at the Macaulay School in a classroom, which allowed me to be crazy and be a lawyer and stay out late and do silly things. But anyway, it's interesting that the mayor mentioned this building. It has been a privilege to work as your clerk and master all these years, serving these citizens. I feel like I'm still a social worker. I went from one set of problems to another set of problems because that's what the clerk and master's office is about, is helping people solve their problems and get business done. I will miss this extraordinary building. I think it's the best building ever designed by R.H. Hunt. And I'm going to miss these incredible employees who have come here and all the people we've served. And thank you, commissioners, for this moment and these beautiful words.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. All right, moving on to our minutes needing to be entered and recorded for April 15th, 2026 recess meeting and April 15th, 2026 agenda meeting. What's the will of the commission?
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Graham, second by Commissioner Highlander. Lights, one standing. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck? Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we have 3 reports to enter into the record. Is that correct?
Will do, Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to resolutions. Madam Clerk, please read 526-1.
Resolution 526-1, a resolution to approve and accept applications for notary public positions, the bonds and oaths of notaries previously elected, the oaths of deputy sheriffs, and the oath of deputy county trustee.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Commissioner Highlander, second by Commissioner Shipley. No lights, no one standing. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck? Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes, 526-1 passes. Madam Clerk, 526-2, please.
Resolution 526-2, a resolution confirming the reappointment by the county mayor of Gene Tuggle to serve as an alternate member of the Hamilton County Beer Board as may be needed, with a term expiring December 1st, 2028.
Got a motion by Commissioner Graham, second by Commissioner Highlander. No lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes, 526-2 passes. Madam Clerk, 526-3, please.
Resolution 526-3, a resolution to provide additional compensation to the clerk and master and juvenile court clerk in the amount of 10% of the base compensation paid to certain constitutional officers as defined by Tennessee state law as general officers.
Commissioner Hilton, I see your light, sir. We do have to get it on the table before we can discuss.
Move to
Vote.
approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion by Commissioner Highlander, second by Commissioner Sharp. Commissioner Hilton, sir.
Thank you, Chair. We had Mr. Baylor come in here and give a presentation about the merits of this resolution a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Though I don't disagree with him that it might be deserving. The other officers, I think Vince Dean and others tried to do this a couple of years ago. We did not extend this to them. This is the same thing. I just want to remind everyone of that. My vote will be no on this at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I see no further lights, no one standing. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
No.
Commissioner Beck? Commissioner Chauncey? Commissioner Eversol?
No.
Commissioner Graham? Commissioner Helton?
No.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
No.
Commissioner Beck?
No.
Motion fails.
526-3 fails. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on, Madam Clerk, please read, we're going to jump down the agenda a little bit. 526-15, please.
Resolution 526-15, a resolution authorizing the Office of Economic and Community Development to apply for a $1,300,000 Bureau of Justice Assistance Fiscal Year 25 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Site-Based Program Grant.
All right, so will the commission? Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Sharp, second by Commissioner Shipley. Any questions? Ms. LaBeouf, do you have anything you'd like to add to this item? Like why it's on here and was not on the agenda would be a good.
Yes, sir. I apologize for the late ad. It's a turnaround time. We applied for the large opioid abatement council funding through the state that we brought before this body. This grant was an ample opportunity for us to apply for the same thing in a smaller amount, a backup.
All right, thank you. See no lights. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck? Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes, 526-15 passes. Madam Clerk, 526-16.
Resolution 526-16, a resolution authorizing payment of $100,000 to Gregory Carson, Southern States Police Benevolent Association, Inc., and their attorney Brian Haas of Davis and Haas PC for full and final settlement of any and all claims related to Gregory Carson and Southern States Police Benevolent Association, Inc. versus Hamilton County, docket number 23-0147.
Second.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Graham, second by Commissioner Shipley. No lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes, 526-16 passes. That does end our resolutions for committee as a whole. We're going to move on to our other committees, but I'm going to bump one. I know Public Safety is next on the agenda, but we're going to move down to Building and Economic Development Committee. I believe there's a couple items on here that a number of people here today would like to comment on. So let's try to be as respectful of their time as we can and move to Building and Economic Community Development. Commissioner Shipley, you've got 4 resolutions, sir, starting with, I believe, 526-9, if you would take that, please.
All right, 526-9.
Resolution 526-9, a resolution to declare the property located at 317 Oak Street, Chattanooga, Tennessee, jointly owned by Hamilton County and the Hamilton County Department of Education as surplus property and to authorize its disposal in accordance with applicable law and policy.
From our committee, it was recommended to sale.
Is that a motion to approve, sir?
That's a motion to approve.
I've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Shipley. Commissioner Beck, did I get you on a second, sir?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck on a second. No lights, none standing. Roll call, please. Oh, excuse me just a moment. I've got a light. Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I guess a little clarification. Is this the time to have the discussion?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Okay, I saw Charles here.
This is Oak Street.
Oak Street.
Still want to have a discussion?
Nope.
All right, we're good. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes. 526-9 passes.
526-10, please.
Resolution 526-10, a resolution to declare the property located at 100 Cherokee Boulevard, Chattanooga, Tennessee, owned by Hamilton County as surplus property and to authorize its disposal in accordance with applicable law and policy.
Chairman, this came out of my committee also. It was recommended to sale. Many statements during our committee meeting went
Commissioner,
back
sorry.
to,
Sorry, let's get a motion and, let's get a
Okay.
motion on the floor
my
before we discuss.
motion is to move forward with sale.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Shipley, second by Commissioner Chauncey. I'm sorry, sir. Now please proceed.
The recommendation come from Todd Lehman and Mike Kurt. This dates back many years. This ain't something that just happened. And the can got kicked down the road. It's came to a point now where the building, even in my discussion with them, there could even be safety issues with the building for the occupants, with bricks coming out of the building, painted fire, sprinklers in the building, other issues as well. This is not a reason to try to destroy the incubator program. It's to make it better, and it's also a huge savings to the taxpayers of Hamilton County. And I think if y'all will listen, you're gonna have opportunities better than what you had. That's it.
All right, thanks, sir. Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, Chairman. Is this the time to ask the questions about the future of the occupants? Is that?
Anything related to this item you'd like
Okay,
to know,
okay.
sir?
I
Please
just want
feel
to make
free.
sure it's okay. Thanks, sir. If I could get this straight and understanding, and Commissioner Shipley, I'm not sure if you need to help me or Mr. Lehman or the mayor, I'm not sure who, but I want to make it clear that we are all for an incubator. We are all for helping small business. We want,
Initial discussion was to give it till May of next year on their current leases. Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. And we also are trying to either put them in the Golden Gateway or an appropriate facility for people up to 3 years. Is that correct? We're trying to find a reasonable place for them for the future?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, if I may, we have had meetings with the chamber and we've worked out an agreement. And we've also met with the tenants to try to explain the agreement that we've reached. And it does include trying to position them for a space in the new incubator or finding space in the community in another office space or appropriate space. And then the county would potentially subsidize the difference in the market rate versus what the previous lease rent had been.
Thank you, ma'am. That was my understanding. I just wanted to make that to be made as a public statement again.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
All right, I see no further lights. Commissioner Sharp.
So,
Chairman, I do have some questions and maybe even a comment or two. But I was curious as to whether or not we would be listening to the citizens who are here to speak prior to our comments.
I always go to the commission first. If they would like to wait, that's their choice. They can comment at any time during this process. We absolutely are going to hear from the citizens
Okay,
on this
well-
item. So it's up to you. If you would like to comment afterwards, I'm happy to come back to you.
Okay, well, I wanted to clear that up because, I think that the comments, particularly those who have experience with starting businesses in the incubator, could have substantial impact on what I may comment. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Graham, I see your light. Would you like to comment now or wait until after the public? Wait till after? Okay, sounds good. All right, then we have no further light. So let me ask this. Saw many of you at the last meeting, so I get a pretty good feel of those that are in favor of not in favor of this resolution. Do we have people here today that would like to speak in favor of this resolution? Anybody? I mean, just show of hands, people that would like to speak in favor. So we do have some. So let's do this. We do have a number of people here, so we have a 10-minute limit on any one topic. So I would like to ask those that are here, let's go through those that are not in favor of this resolution for a total of 10 minutes. And then we will move to those that are in favor of the resolution for a total of 10 minutes. And then we'll come back to the commission to comment from there. Okay? Everybody good with that? Okay,
Point of order,
please.
Chairman.
Oh, yes, sir.
Generally, when we have comments on both sides of an issue like this, in the past, we've given opportunity for rebuttal from the group that speaks first. And I was wondering if we would be able to offer that same courtesy to this group here today.
I don't know that there's one person you can designate for rebuttal unless
don't
they would
either.
like to volunteer. So if you would like to use some of your time to ask a question, I think you could probably do that, but I don't think I want to designate somebody to speak for the group. Very good. Look at you guys coming all prepared. I have no problem with that, sir. No
Okay.
problem at all.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yep. So what we'll do then, if we're going to do that, we're going to go 8 minutes, then 10, then we'll come back to the 2. That way you have a 2-minute rebuttal after what you've heard the other group say. Fair enough? All right. So we got 8 minutes in this group in opposition. Whomever would like to come forward, name and address for the record, please.
Christine DePietro, 1015 Brentwood Terrace, District 6. I used to think I was in District 3, and you got really lucky, Smith. I'm a former Techstars program manager, Techstars mentor, CoLab program director, entrepreneur in residence, SBA GAF judge, and current South by Southwest startup advisor. I have scaled companies from 0 to 600 million. I've helped them raise millions of dollars. I have helped them open new locations and helped private equity close down locations when they're not profitable enough. This is literally my expertise. And the mayor's proposal for the Franklin Roberts Future Ready School, that entrepreneurship program does not align with successful high school entrepreneurship programs we've seen. I know a lot of stuff is happening where we're pitting a school against the BDC. I don't think that should be the case. I'm going to skip part of this because we don't have time, but I reviewed the documents. If the building is worth $6.5 million, the county should not be so strapped for cash that it has to sell the building in order to make the school happen. My understanding is we have over $100 million in a rainy day fund, and that money should come from working capital during that period. We are being pit entrepreneurship against a school, and that is not the fight right here. There is a miscommunication. And if we are so strapped for cash, then that means that our county officials, elected and career bureaucrats, have grossly mismanaged the Hamilton County funding. In the world of economic development, about a 1.3 return or 130% is considered a successful investment. Based on the numbers that the mayor gave to Chatham Matters earlier this week, the BDC, we see a 1,700% return on economic development, which is one of the highest numbers I've ever seen from projects of this kind. And finally, I know that we all saw Mayor Womp not pay attention when constituents spoke last week. I addressed that immature behavior with him, and he told me that we all know it doesn't matter what people say at these meetings. Unfortunately for you all, that means you're going to be hearing a lot more from me because His father didn't tell him not to say the quiet part out loud. I do have more to say about this, but I'll fit it into other resolutions.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to start by saying, and I know I'm up against time, I'm going to talk with my New York pace. We are not against Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center. We support progress, we support innovation and expanding opportunity for students in our region, but respectfully, that is not the decision here today. The question before you is whether we're making a financially responsible decision with the assets we already have and whether this represents the best use of public resources. The BDC is not another county-owned building. It was gifted to Hamilton County for use of economic development. That creates a higher level of responsibility, not just to use the asset, but to steward it in a way that honors its original intent. From that perspective, it raises a fundamental question. Why would the county consider selling a functioning public asset, one that was gifted for economic development, in order to fund another project without a clear documented analysis showing that the new investment provides greater value? If that analysis exists, we'd like to see it. Specifically, what is the total cost required to fully restore and utilize the current building? What is the cost of developing the incubator component in the Franklin Roberts Center? And how do the capacity, functionality, and long-term economic returns compare between the two? Without that comparison, it is difficult to determine whether this represents an improvement or simply a reallocation of resources. And now, based on the county's own documents, which you all have just been emailed, dated March of 2026, we have more clarity. We've seen estimates indicating that the major capital needs for this building, including HVAC, roof, and the facade, total roughly $4.5 to $5.5 million. That is consistent with the 5.3 already allocated by this body in 2024. So the question becomes, if it's the cost to restore the building is in line with what was already approved, is this truly a case of an unfixable asset or a decision to not reinvest in it? Additionally, the HVAC assessment makes clear that many of the current issues stem from deferred maintenance over time, not sudden structural failure. It also notes that the building is actively supporting industrial level use, which places higher demand on systems, but also reinforces the fact that this building is serving a real production-based business today. There's also the question of follow-through. You all approved $5.3 million to improve this building with the expectation that those funds would be used to restore its functionality. We have since been told that that amount was not sufficient. If that's the case, it would be helpful to understand the full cost to determine how that was made. Additionally, if it was determined that this building was not a viable long-term investment, it is reasonable to ask why additional time and resources were spent on redesign efforts in 2025 while building managers were asked to limit occupancy and prepare for renovations. Greater clarity on both cost assessments and timeline of these decisions would help ensure alignment between prior approvals and current actions. More broadly, if the county has to sell an existing asset in order to fund a new initiative, it is fair to ask whether that reflects a sustainable capital strategy or a departure from long-term planning. This is not an argument against progress. It is a request for discipline, transparency, and accountability. Before moving forward, it would be reasonable to ensure the financial comparison is clear, the intended outcomes are defined, and the decision aligns with both the original purpose of the asset and the expectations set with public funds when public funds are allocated. If the goal is economic development, there is a strong case for reinvesting in the asset right now consistent with its original purpose, rather than divesting it and reducing dedicated capacity in the process. We'd welcome the opportunity to see a truly improved state-of-the-art incubator, one that builds on and respects the system developed over the last 40 years. That kind of investment would both reflect progress and stewardship, but reducing capacity so significantly and placing the incubator within a facility that serves a fundamentally different primary purpose does not on its face demonstrate an enhancement of what currently exists. At this point, we are being asked to view this as an improvement, but without any clear analysis, defined outcomes, or demonstrated path forward with details we can trust, it is difficult to understand how that conclusion has been reached. On a final note, our county mayor recently said, "I have not heard a compelling argument for why we have a public incubator." This building has helped over 500 businesses and generated over $79 million in economic impact. That feels like a compelling argument to me. If Mayor
Ladies and
Romp
gentlemen,
had
we're not gonna
engaged
clap.
If Mayor Romp had engaged with these business owners or the resource centers in the space before this had come to the table, he would have known this. The lack of understanding and willingness to sell an asset with such impact is both alarming and not in line with the spirit of supporting entrepreneurship. If this building is sold, we will lose so much more than what is at stake here.
Ma'am, can we get your name for the record? I'm sorry, we didn't get
Yes,
it.
my name is Kalina Goldsworthy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Marcia Roberts, and I'm a Hamilton County resident. My company is Strat Corporation, a woman-owned small batch manufacturing company making 18-inch vinyl dolls that can be customized for kids with disabilities. We are the only company in America making vinyl dolls since that entire industry moved to China in the 1990s. A couple of weeks, we're located on the 3rd floor of the BDC. A couple of weeks ago, one of the commissioners wanted to see for himself the manufacturing end of the BDC, and so he gave him a tour. He told us over and over again how impressed he was, with the quality of what people were doing, the innovation, the wide range of industries that were represented, and the large equipment that many of the companies have that will not be able to be accommodated in the new Franklin Roberts Center. He said that he had also said, as we walked around, that he had been told that the BDC was falling down and that it was just falling apart. And he said, that's just definitely not the case, which is true.
All right, time, that's 8 minutes. We're going to move on to those that are in favor of this resolution for a total of 10 minutes, and then we'll come back for 2 on those that are opposed. Name and address for the record, 10 total minutes for everybody.
Thank you. Dr. Leandria Ware, 1501 Independence Lane, District 7. Good evening, everyone. I stand before you in strong support of the Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center, not as another initiative, but as a lifeline for students whose realities demand more from them than traditional opportunities and models have ever been designed to accommodate. At the Howard School, and others across our community, we've served students who are not just learners. They are, in many cases, the financial provider of their household. Too often, we ask them to choose between earning and learning. I vividly remember having this conversation with a 16-year-old who came to school exhausted after working a 3rd shift job full-time. He very earnestly told me, Dr. Ware, I cannot feed my family a diploma. This Future Ready Center changes that equation. It creates a pathway where students don't have to sacrifice their education to support their families. Through paid work-based learning, students gain real-world experiences and a sense of purpose that connects the classroom to the future. And we know that this works. Programs like those supported by CareerWise USA have demonstrated that when students are given access to paid apprenticeships, they are more likely to graduate, earn meaningful wages, and contribute to a stronger workforce, especially for students who are historically underserved. When we invest in models like the Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center, we invest in businesses gaining skilled talent and in young people seeking a future that includes them. This is how we break cycles, not with good intentions, but with intentional opportunities. We are very grateful to Mayor Wamp and Commissioner Graham and others who have heard our cry on this matter. I urge you all to support the vision, because when we align education with opportunity, we don't just prepare students for life, we empower them to transform it and change trajectories for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Terrence Locke, and I just want to say I'm here in favor of Mayor Wamp and the Franklin Roberts building. I believe it's in the name Future Ready. I think about my son and my nieces who are headed into high school, and I'm looking in the future and I see how this particular building will be able to help them. I'm an 11-year entrepreneur as well, so I also see the benefits of me walking into this center, being more welcoming. I've had the luxury to visit many other innovative enterprises, buildings out in Atlanta and even Nashville, and Chattanooga doesn't have anything similar to that. I would like to see Chattanooga continue to be innovative and move forward with a nice facility that's welcoming to more people as well. So I'm in favor of it, and I would hope everybody else is in favor of it as well. I don't believe that I don't believe that this is a bad idea. I think it's great for Chattanooga, and I look forward to seeing it come true. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Brad Cobb, 1611 Williams Street, District 4. I'm here kind of somewhat representing the Chamber of Commerce. I'm the current chair of the board, and I work with Charles Woods quite a bit. And I would say that I totally understand the folks who went before us and their fear of change and what's going to happen. But I've been in several meetings with the mayor's office, and I strongly support what's happening. I think if you gave the option to a starting business, if both of them were just beginning of the two locations and what they were going to do, every one of them would pick the new location just to have the BDC. We have had commitments on all facets of the items of bringing in the current tenants to help design the space, to make sure that it's ready. If you looked at some of the tenants there now, some are in spaces that are way too big, some are way too small, some don't have air. We're going to provide, I say we, the mayor's office and the Franklin Roberts is going to provide to the new businesses an environment that is conducive to what they should have. I'm just a huge supporter, and I've sat in a lot of meetings to work out all the details, and I feel really comfortable. And I started businesses, I own businesses, and I bought businesses in Hamilton County. I still have them. So I'm a huge fan of any kind of business. And that's why I joined the chamber, is because I love business. And all these people behind I respect the heck out of who have started there. But at the end of the day, giving a better product to young businesses and starting businesses is what this is about. The building is old, dilapidated. It's not very functional. And the last thing I would say is there are the folks that have created businesses that are kind of nostalgic about they started there. Well, the new businesses are going to be starting shouldn't have to pay for them being in an old dilapidated building. So give them a new place to operate in that's much more functional and makes more sense. Thank you.
Kenny Smith. I live at 4308 Fountain Avenue in East Ridge. And I'm for this resolution. And as I look at you commissioners, I think at some time in the past years, I've talked to every one of y'all about career and tech education, about giving students choices wherever they want to go. And I appreciate that. Kirkman, we're one step away. We're one vote away from having a Kirkman back in this town. A newer Kirkman, technology's changed a bunch, and looks like all the pieces are there. We've made promises to students about choices. I think this is the time to move forward. It's been a long time coming. The incubator moving, I think it strengthens this school and the incubator, but it strengthens the school. These students will be working around business people as they're going to school. They see what these business people do and why they're training for what they're fixing to do. So I see it as a win-win for everybody. There were promises made 30 plus years ago when they tore Kirkman down that they would put a school back downtown, a career and tech school for the urban community. It hasn't happened. We got a chance to do it right now. And there's several apprenticeship programs in this town waiting on these kids to get trained and gobble them up, because we need workers bad. It's changed a lot since Gino and I were apprentices, but I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Hi, Aaliyah Wright, District 4. And what I hear in these arguments is, again, a false equivalence, a school against a business development center. So if we're going to falsely frame this problem, why don't we start asking, can we sell the building but preserve its intended use as a business development and sell it to people who are committed to that mission, to making sure that the people here today can continue to invest in Hamilton
Are you
County.
speaking against this resolution? 'Cause
No, I'm speaking for the sale, but I'm
Okay.
saying that why don't we sell it to preserve its intended use And can we not do that in this amendment session or agenda session? Can we not amend it to do that? Because I find myself just constantly wondering if Hamilton County is too broke to invest in the businesses that make it money, then maybe we should sell it to somebody who is. Thank you.
David? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd request that that be counted as opposition and we return to 3 minutes for me to speak for this resolution.
You've got a minute, 20 seconds, ma'am.
Cody Womp, 600 Market Street. I wish I had more time and I wish that we had more civility in this room than we often do. In 2024, a gentleman was coming off of the school bus from Brainerd High School, and he was gunned down by 2 other 16-year-olds. When I spoke with the victim's mother and father, the father told me that he wasn't surprised when he learned that his 16-year-old son was shot and killed. I said, why? He said, quote, "These kids have nothing to do." Over and over and over again in my job, I see that we are not giving our kids, most often our Black kids, anything to do with their time. I see it over and over again that our kids think that if they do bad at calculus and if they're bad at algebra, that they can't go do anything with themselves. And Franklin Roberts is a step in the right direction, but we need Franklin Roberts to be as robust as possible. And this is how it happens. And leadership is hard. And big decisions are hard. I'm not here to advocate for anyone. I'm here to advocate for our kids to have the most and best opportunities that they haven't had for the last 3 decades. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to a 2-minute rebuttal. Who did we determine was going to make that? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Give your
I-
name and address again,
Yeah.
please.
All right, I just want to say,
Ma'am, name and address
oh,
again,
I'm
please.
so sorry.
Yes, okay.
Kalina
It's okay.
Goldsworthy, 5607 Alabama Avenue. This is quite frankly wildly confusing. The last I checked, the resolution was about the sale of the BDC, not about the school. And this isn't about a school. We all highly support schools. There are many businesses in the BDC right now that employ students. We are not against this. What we are talking about right now is we're being faced with a debate about whether this is a school or an incubator. It shouldn't be that way. It should be both. We're talking about significantly reducing the footprint of an incubator to put it in a school. We should be living in a city where we have a thriving incubator, one that it is consistently celebrated in the news outlets across the country. We have people that are coming to visit our incubator to model after it. We are not against the school. There's a gentleman here who just pulled me aside. His grandfather helped build this building. So let's talk about buildings that celebrate our community, historic ones like our mayor did last week. This is one that celebrates economic development in our community. It was given to us for this. So what is on the agenda today is not an incubator at school. It's a school with an incubator component, significantly reducing the square footage. There has been no plan. They have not even tried to talk with the tenants or the resource centers until after the sale was announced. There is a gap of a year between when this building will be closing for when people have to leave and when the new building opens. That is not supporting the entrepreneurial spirit of this building. And I'd like to take a second to give it to Alexa. I'm so sorry, Alexis.
Alexis Willis, 526 Sharondale Road. I'm the former director of the incubator. And I will say that it's a gold mine at the corner of Manufacturers in Cherokee where makers are made. The fact that it is zoned for manufacturing is the reason why we have Hoff and Pepper, Branch Technology, RMJ Tactical, and all these other lifestyle businesses that were in that building and that people from all across the country came to see me and talk about the work we were doing.
All right, thank you. Keep the clapping down, people. Commissioner Eversole.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a couple of questions. Is this reducing the footprint of the BDC?
127,000 square feet.
And
I'm just asking.
From the Haston appraisal is what we base the total square footage on the building on in our conversations, puts the entire building itself at around 111. When you reduce out the area that is occupied by nonprofits, shared space, restrooms, hallways, et cetera, and then some of the area that's not occupied, the total area occupied in square footage, to our understanding, if
Hey,
I could
Chief, hold on just
continue.
a
Yes,
second.
sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will be removed from this room if you disrupt this meeting. Chief?
Puts the total occupied space by our count at roughly 44,000. The area that is set aside in the design phase, which obviously there's a movement in there as we settle the design at Franklin Roberts on the 3rd and 4th floor, speculatively puts it between 45 and 48,000.
So your calculation, we're trading equal spaces.
Roughly, yes, sir.
Okay. Another question with that. Does the new space at Franklin Roberts, does the design fit the design of those that are currently at the BDC?
Yes, sir. The intent of the design that we're working in now would offer both office and light manufacturing. There's been concerns expressed over whether there would be sufficient ability to offload certain heavy equipment, light manufacturing equipment, and so forth. The 3rd floor, which would be the beginning floor of the incubator at Franklin Roberts, the majority of it is on slab. There are loading docks made for tractor trailer offloads. There are large roll-up doors, elevated ceilings that would accommodate forklifts and pallet jacks. And there are interior lifts that, as we move into the design and construction phase of the building, we would get the specs on what the lifts are on those. And then as we understand better the needs of the current tenants, we circulated roughly a week and a half ago, a tenant assessment to all the emails that we had available from the current tenants of the BDC/incubator at 100 Cherokee. And what we found, or what we're waiting on, is we asked specific questions. What is your electrical needs? What are your lift needs? What are your floor needs? What do you need in your space? So that as we entered into conversations in the design phase, now that we have the architect working, that we could supply over to them so that we could work in the design and construction phase, various needs already within the spaces that could be occupied by tenants going forward. We've heard comments in the conversations where we have engaged with tenants, both individually and in group settings, concern over monies that they have put back into their businesses themselves. And we're sympathetic to that, so we don't want to see that happen twice. Is we would like to know what was done in their spaces so we could work that into the engineering and construction phase for the new space so they wouldn't have to replicate that again. So it's items like that. At this point, I think we circulated that assessment to 48 different emails, and at this point, we've had 11 returned. So we're trying to get the information in so we can condense that, concise it, turn it over to Tinker Maw. So as we get into the design phase, we can make sure that not only does it accommodate, and I will say, the little simpler form of office space versus manufacturing, that we can work that into the design and construction phase, sir.
Okay. I was glad to hear Ms. McVeigh talk about how we're working with tenants, because I think that's very important. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, sir.
We keep talking about kids. There's obviously no kids at the BDC now, and we're wanting kids to start working with those at the BDC. Is that correct?
I can speak to part of the model. I would defer over as far as the overall design within the education side of things to Mayor Wamp or Tucker McClendon. But one of the conversation points we had in a meeting with the tenants was concern expressed over if their business would not allow them, either because of their liability insurance. To give you a very specific example, one of the tenants expressed that they design certain things that have to do with knives, leather works and so forth, and that there might be an unsafe environment with a lot of sharp objects laying around with students around. Sympathetic to the statement. If the business itself by design does not lend itself to have student participation, or the individuals that have started the business and run the business are not comfortable by their own decision, which is absolutely their discretion, it's their business, then there's not a penalty for that. There is still reduced leases that they will have at the new incubator. If businesses, as it's in the conversation now, are able to have students engage in their business and are mentored or learn or work, then there may be additional reductions within their leases. But that sliding scale on those leases I have not seen that yet, but that is the intent of what we're trying to do, sir.
One of the things I just caution with, because we don't want to put a new company in a position to where there's state or federal laws that are getting I guess, challenged.
Yes, so there
Uh,
would be no requirement or compulsion to go against anything that either their insurance,
Yes.
their regulation, or their industry would prohibit, sir.
Yeah, workers' comp, things like
Roger
that.
that.
I mean,
Yes, sir.
it's because we don't, does that mean that when we look at putting future startup companies in the Franklin Roberts, does that mean that we're going to be selective and only getting certain people to fill those spots in the future? Or what does that mean? Is it just open? Because right now, the BDC is kind of open, I guess, for any industry office or.
I would defer to the chamber on how they select current occupants of who goes into the program.
'Cause
But
right
there
now-
would be a committee between the county and the chamber going forward of who those occupants would be.
Okay.
Then currently is the same setup, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Because I would, if we're going to marry those together, I can see the possibilities of something being really successful here if we're going to marry them together, but there's a lot of pieces that have to align in order for us to do that. And it can't be, to me, it can't be open for any organization or any new startup to go in if it's not really conducive to, and I say kids, they're young adults. I mean, because they're
Teenagers.
they're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. But I would like to see that. I'd like for us, this body, to know what that's going to look like. I think we're running fast with this. We're running fast, and for me, there's lots of little questions, and I'm not saying that we can't run fast. I'm saying there's lots of little details that could be danger spots if we're not careful. So,
Can I add just to that last
Sure.
question? That
absolutely.
we've had collaborative discussions with the Chamber of Commerce. I think one of the things that our community is going to experience for the first time in decades since the old American Lava Corporation facility was retrofitted, despite some of its deficiencies, for use as a startup incubators. We're going to get to do this from scratch with great architects at the helm, and we're going to get to think through exactly how space can work best to fit companies that are doing light manufacturing or retail or a small tech company that may just be a few people. And that process in and of itself is one that I think will bring several different parties, organizations, a chamber certainly being one of them, to the table to talk about what that new selection process will look like in a new facility. And then specifically to students, the school system has become, under Dr. Robertson's leadership, extremely good. Again, decades ago, we were good at this, at offering students work-based learning opportunities. And as you heard Dr. Ware, who was the executive principal at the Howard School for quite a while, as you heard her speak to, these are lifelines in many parts of our community. It is a necessity, unfortunately, for a lot of high school students to be able to work. That's the reason many of them drop out of school. It's something that Dr. Ware shared with me early in our time working together. But as we have studied this, one of the things that is ongoing, but we think we can expand even further, is the school system has 90 work-based learning partnerships with companies across the county. There's 90 different companies in formal partnership with the school system. And one of them, a company that digitizes home media. They have both expensive equipment. They have family videos and precious, historic photos, et cetera. And you've had dozens of graduates of this program in partnership with the school system, students getting paid to work 20 hours a week, buying their first car. So we can do this. It's the old co-op model that many of you will remember from your high school days. It's faded away, but it's coming back. And I think, fortunately, Commissioner Eversole, what I wanted to share there is the school system has developed a lot of muscle memory here in terms of how you negotiate properly with companies and getting students in positions where they can work, learn, and make money. And it presents a really great opportunity for young people, again, in a lot of our most disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Thank you. That's a good explanation. I just want us to be cautious because not every company that is a startup company is intended for, young adults or teenagers to work in. So we just got to be careful and make sure that we have a good model together and what that's going to look like. The last question I've got, and I apologize, is we're going to ask these companies to move. And part of moving means shutting down operations. It means having extra expenses, well, not really extra, but normal expenses going on without maybe income coming in. Have we thought about that? How that's going to impact?
If I could answer that,
Sure.
Commissioner, yes. When we looked at the current tenant list, we did a deep dive and understood that after the 1 year that we've guaranteed each tenant, over half of the tenants will have been there through their 3-year lease. So of the 38 tenants there, more than half of those tenants will have been there for 3 years. So that leaves us still some tenants to work with, which we are committed to doing. But we have, as I had mentioned earlier, reached sort of an agreement with the chamber to meet with each tenant individually and assess their needs and try to figure out, are they a fit for the new incubator? Should they find other space in the community? Does the county need to help subsidize the rent? And so we're going to meet with each tenant individually over the next few months to kind of figure out what their next steps look like. And so it'll be an individualized plan for each tenant. And I think it's very doable.
Thank you. You said individual plan. I think that's very important. So thank you for bringing that up. I think it has to be because each one is unique in its way. And so thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all the questions I've got.
All right. Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I got several questions here. I'm not really sure how I want to proceed through these, but I'm going to do my best. I mean, I guess one of my questions is, it was mentioned earlier, there was a whole lot of subtractions of square footage out of the BDC. I mean, so we've gone from like 120,000 square feet down to, or I guess it was Chief Roddy that was mentioning this. So out of the 120,000 square feet of the BDC, are you saying that only 40,000 square feet of it is usable?
It was 111,000, not 120. And what we've estimated by the current leases and the square footage that Mike Kirk has put together on occupied space by for-profit tenants is approximately 44,000
Okay,
Oh.
total.
so that doesn't include the space that Hamilton County employees are taking up.
No,
It
it does
doesn't include the space that's currently not occupied because the HVAC hasn't been addressed.
Or other items in the building have
Or
been
other items. So due
overtaxed, yes, sir.
to deferred maintenance issues, you're not counting the space that is not occupied because of those deferred maintenance issues?
At this time, not as far as occupied space, or no.
Okay, so I kind of feel that's a bit disingenuous argument, frankly. It's certainly not comparing apples to apples. The 45,000 square feet over at the Gateway building, does that include hallways and bathrooms and entryways and all of that?
No,
It does not include those things?
not to my knowledge, no. It has to do with usable square footage within the footprint that we plan to design for occupiable space.
Okay. Do we have appraisals that have the floor plans drawn out and calculated? Has anyone done that on both of these facilities? And do we have that readily available?
I'm sure there's floor plans to the current BDC. As far as the floor plans that would be occupied at the eventual opening of the new incubator, we haven't designed those out. That has a lot to do with what I just referenced a moment ago on the tenant assessment. We felt it was critical to provide the current tenants the ability to advise us on current needs, space allocations, lift movements, everything that we needed to put into the conversations with Tinker Ma. So with the expansion that I believe this body passed a resolution to increase Tinker Ma's responsibility passed a couple of weeks ago, we wouldn't have been able to prepare those floor plans in that time, and it would have been very limited.
So we
on the
don't
input.
have like a certified document that illustrates the square footage in both buildings?
There's rough schematics on, including like the external, but not the internal layouts.
Okay, well, I think it would be important for us to have that documentation in order to really speak about it honestly. And I hate to couch it that way, but honestly, I'm a little bothered by the framing of some of the dialogue today. I'm hesitant on the resolution about selling the property on Cherokee Boulevard. That's has absolutely nothing to do with my support of investing in future-ready activity at the Gateway Building. And honestly, I don't appreciate that it was couched that way. It's not a fair argument. It's not, and I'm bothered by that. It makes me question the motives of those who are making that argument, frankly. And it's sad. It shouldn't be that way. Honestly, I feel like I'm sitting here and I can't understand it, why anyone would try to convince this board and the people of Hamilton County that spending what I calculate at $22 million for a 45,000 square foot building is better than spending $5 or $6 million for a 120,000 square foot building.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep the clapping down.
That's what this boils down to me. It seems fiscally irresponsible, particularly at a time when it appears that revenue is a bit strained. That's just the simple math. You know, I know that we've had through a lot of these meetings, and I attend and I listen and I try to pay close attention. There's been people that have attended, offered free appraisals, free mapping of all of these facilities. We could have that information. I mean, if we're going to have a good faith conversation about it, I think we should have the documentation clearly outlined in a proposal for all of us to sit down and look at. So we're all looking at the same information in order to make a well-informed decision with taxpayer dollars. This isn't our money. And for us, you know, just to not have that information in front of us to make that decision in a professional document, I believe is irresponsible. And we should not move forward with that. Now, if this board decides to move in the affirmative in this resolution, I think that there are some things that could be done, some amendments that could be made, that the community, our community, all of our community would appreciate. I think that the business owners may appreciate it, and I think that it would end up in the end being a better deal for all of us. And I don't know if this is the time to do this, but you know, I think first and foremost, I think surplusing this building is not the proper way to go about doing it. I think that this public asset, if we intend to sell this building, I think that this public asset should be presented, or we should request RFPs for the best purpose, best use of this property, not surplus it. And I believe that those RFPs should come back for review by this board to be adopted by a majority vote. I would make that in the form of a motion if anyone was interested in seconding it.
So you want to make amendments now, or you want to go to lights and come back?
We can go to lights and come back.
Okay.
And because
I'm
I have,
happy to come
I have a
back to you
couple
afterwards,
others.
'cause there's a bunch of lights on.
Okay,
here if you wanna-
so oftentimes these conversations move very quickly, Chairman. So I just want to make sure that I have the opportunity to offer amendments.
Absolutely.
So provided I'm granted that opportunity, I'm okay to step back from it for just a moment.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just clarify, because
Mr.
I
Lehman?
think it goes to the motion, and I think the county attorney could also. Surplus is a procedural, it's public property, and therefore has to be surplus before we can even offer it for sale. So the intent of the resolution, I believe it's in the resolution, is it has to be surplused by the legislative body for us to even allow it to be offered for sale. So the plan with this one, just like the prior one, is to do an RFP, which you would solicit highest and best use. Then that RFP would come back to this commission with a recommendation on the highest and best proposal for a decision by this legislative body. So that is the exact process will be taken. This does not sell it. There'll be an RFP that comes back with a recommendation that has to be approved, and then a PSA, a purchase and sale agreement that will go through the legislative body to actually sell it at closing.
So my
Thank you,
question, I
Mr.
think I
Lee.
still have the
Yes,
floor
sir,
for
you
just a
do.
moment. So I appreciate that, Todd. Thank you. You always contribute usually the best commentary. I thank you for that. So to clarify, the proposals, you're saying will go where?
We'll solicit proposals to other buyers, developers. We'll receive those. We may receive 2, we may receive 10, we may receive 20. Those will be evaluated and then brought back to this commission to make a decision based on the highest, best recommended proposal. It could be all types of different proposals from the private sector.
So those 2 or 10 proposals, are you saying that all 2 or 10 or whatever the number of proposals will come back to this body for review? Is that what you're saying?
There'll be a just like we do with any types of bid, there'll be a recommendation, but I mean, I'm sure this body would question what was the lowest use and the cheapest offer compared to the recommendation for the highest and best use. So that information will be available. But I mean,
So if that's is where we end up going with this, my request would be that as those are received, that they're shared with this body. Can we do that?
yeah, we'll get with the county attorney to work on a process that makes all that happen. I don't know why we can't work through that process. It'll go on the open market. It'll advertise publicly, and then there'll be a date when we receive those proposals. And at that point, those proposals will be just like anything else, records that the county has. It would be subject to whatever review would be necessary.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I'll yield my time for now. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Commissioner Baker.
Thank you. Charles, do you have your BDC management person here by chance?
We do not, but I'll do my best to
Okay.
answer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to refer to a report that's long before you. And I think we all were issued the 2008 report. And I just wanted to kind of go over some of the conditions to make sure that I understand what was discussed back in 2008, what's changed between then and 18 years later. I heard mentioned just a little bit ago, there were 500 businesses. In this report, this talks about a total of 506 companies back in 2008, 440 of which graduated with a success rate of 87%. Do you know what the current, what that cumulative number is, if it was 506? And
I know it's well over 600. We try not to, I hate that number, honestly, right? Because success means a lot of different things. So for some of these companies, they exit, they work for a little while, and they sell and cash out. And so if you're a venture-backed company, that's the goal. So is that success? Yes. Are they still here today? No.
Okay, I got a
but-
lot of questions, so you might
Yeah,
want to.
but there are well over 600 companies that have rolled through there. Our goal over a 5-year window is to graduate 75 out of the program.
Okay. Mentioned in the assessment of the current center was parking. And for clients and employees. In fact, when I went over there a couple of weeks ago, I was cautioned by one of the people in the BDC to not park there because I'm going to get towed. Parking is an issue.
I mean, we instituted towing a couple of years ago because frankly, we were providing parking for lots of people that weren't in the building. I'd say we are blessed with the fact that we have a pretty significant surface parking lot across the street that CARTA manages, and we have a structured relationship with them. So you were warned because they didn't want the worst to happen to you.
Oh, that's very kind. On addressing the needs for the future, they talked about the aging facility. Again, this is 2008. That it's the construction of the building is cost prohibitive. And it says it's very costly to repair. They talked about locating the center in an area with adequate parking, unfettered access to loading docks, which I think Mr. Roddy just addressed, easy access to interstates and highways. They talked about 4 components One was a one-stop resource for small business. Second was below market rate. And those are correct today, right?
Correct.
High-tech infrastructure. Correct. And then a targeted industry focus. And the targeted industry focus, as recommended by the Chamber in 2008, was alternative and sustainable energy. Qualified technologies were hydro, nuclear, geothermal, solar, wind, biofuel, hydrogen, fuel cell, and clean coal. Are those all in the BDC?
I mean, I would say, have we had companies that are focused on the energy sector? Yes. Well, I don't think we've got anybody working in clean coal in a few of those.
Yeah. Could, you never know.
You could.
Okay, then they talked about site requirements. Again, this 2008 report, anticipated to be in the range of 50 to 65,000 square feet. Was what was recommended back then, from 125,000. Does that sound about right? You've seen this report, right?
I've seen it. Yes. Again, it was before my time. And I'm a little surprised by there's a fluctuation in total numbers for the building. And so now I'm wondering what I know and don't know.
Okay. All right. They talked about residency. They talked about anchor tenants could be a defensible practice and an incubator usually established to provide rent roll stability during a period of tenancy fluctuation. In other words, you can go over your time. Other clients had extended multiple times without a clear reason also. Is that the case anymore?
No, we have pretty structured requirements around how long folks stay in. We provide more flexibility for manufacturing companies, frankly, because it is hard to find smaller air-conditioned space in the manufacturing sector or in manufacturing real estate in the community. So those we give a little bit more flexibility on. Frankly, for office, we tend to, at 3 years, it's time to go. There's a good bit of office out in the market.
Okay. Then they talked about under implementing national best practices. A few of them were like provide below market rent, which we said. Structured fees on pay as you grow. Is that the case?
We do not, we increase rent each year. So when you come in but we don't have a fee in addition to that, if you will.
Okay. And then we would work with the clients to fully develop business plans. Do we do that?
We do.
Okay. That we require an annual performance review. Do we do that?
We do.
We do. Good. Do we require sessions with an approved business counselor at least monthly? Monthly.
I don't know that we do monthly. We definitely have they have required check-ins with a couple of key partners depending on the type of industry. So some are with the Small Business Development Center. For some, like if they're venture backed, like we have one company that's backed by Brickyard, their time with Brickyard, we count that, frankly.
Okay. And then we also said require financial statements to be filed with the center monthly.
We don't require monthly, we require quarterly.
Quarterly, okay. And then they got a section on orderly transition, which really caught my attention. They said it would take somewhere in 18 to 24 months at a minimum for the transition. They said during that period, it would reduce the occupancy by 18 to 26 clients. Do we know how many clients are in there right now?
There's currently about 35.
35. And then in, let's say, a year's time, how many would that be?
If assuming we have folks that are just exiting based on a 3-year window, somewhere around half.
Okay, so 17.
And we've worked out with county staff kind of a little more. We have a spreadsheet. I just don't have it with me. Sorry.
Okay. Just about done. So they suggest the challenges of moving the center, creation of a pre-admission program to develop businesses. Do we have pre-admission?
Yeah, we effectively think Shark Tank. There's a committee they have to pitch for. There's some requirements they have to even stand in front of the committee. Business plan is one.
Okay. And then we also talked about assistance with locating appropriate commercial rental space. Do we help them with that transition when they
We
finish?
do. We use if you think about the Chamber's existing business team, that's part of our economic development team. There's a seamless approach from that standpoint.
Okay.
Not everybody needs it, but we provide it as
Okay,
needed.
those are most of my questions from '08. The question was asked, Well, we were talking about the RFP. And I would like to see RFP to make sure that we have the components, and I don't know if that'd be onerous for you, Todd, or not, but just to make sure we got the conditions in there so that we know we're taking care of the clients. And one of the people, I've been talking to the American Lava family, heirs, and, which quite a few. And one of the questions would be, we would like to, would it make sense to send it to, like, I don't think it's called Cornerstones now. What's it called? Anybody know? The preservation? Okay. Yeah, they'd include them in that so that they, if it's a 100-year or 90-year-old facility. And then Janie, excuse me, Ms. Vernell, attorney. Do you know the question about being gifted, are there any strings attached to that building?
Not that we've been able to find. We pulled the resolution from 1984 and any underlying documents, and there are none.
Okay. So I guess my only request for us would be that the board could review the RFP to make sure we know what's going out. And I like the idea of what's coming in. I think that makes sense. And I think that was it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, point of privilege. Great to see you, Dr. Ware, and I'm so glad you came to speak to us today. We miss you at the Howard School, but I'm glad you're doing great. This resolution is basically, I'm asking Todd, I guess, this resolution is to stick our toe in the water, just to get the process started, right?
This process is yes, it's to submit an RFP and receive an RFP to potentially sell, accept a sale for the property. Yes, sir.
So if the RFP comes in and whether we get 1 or 100 offers and it's very low, let's, for conversation's sake, let's say somebody's on the offer $1 million for the building. We then do not have to sell it.
The commission will make that decision relative to the acceptance of a proposal and the approval of a purchase sale agreement that would obviously codify all of those proposal provisions. So yes, sir, that would also be a decision legislatively.
And the chamber or even the tenants could actually form a group and find investors and buy that building if they wanted to, correct?
Anybody that's, they could, I think there'll be certain requirements on an RFP, so we don't just get anything, but yes, they could make a minimum bid. I do believe we're going to offer the RFP at the minimum bid, appraisal bid at 6.1 million.
Which doesn't mean we're going to get that offer though.
That's correct. I'm assuming that they could form a group and submit an RFP just like any other developer.
Okay. And actually one of my constituents that's in the audience asked me a question the other night about a freight elevator. Well, a freight elevator, after what I've heard the chief say today and doing my homework, a freight elevator is not needed, correct?
Well, so to clarify, obviously there is a large freight elevator in the existing BDC. There is a freight lift there at the Franklin Roberts Center, and then we do have some schematic designs relative to what that may look like with the design architect. Obviously, haven't moved forward with any design development on that because we don't have a contract in place, but. What we're planning to do is, and Chief Roddy spoke to that, the second floor, which would be any of the light manufacturing, retail, some other opportunities, is slab on grade. They have talked about creating some roll-up doors on the end. And then there is a loading dock, a semi-loading dock that's a step down, probably about 6 or 8 steps down. And there is a lift that you could lift to that second floor.
So a load on grade, you could still use a forklift
Yes,
as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another question is whether we do or do not sell, the improvements to be made, the tenants have to be relocated during this process, or at least they were back in 2009.
Yes, sir. Any project to renovate or repair space or replace building systems, fix either electrical or fire sprinkler, yes, that would displace and adversely impact existing tenants in the incubator. That's correct.
So everybody that's in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then another question, and this is more of a codes question. I'm sorry, Todd, to give them all to you, but we set aside $5 billion to work on that building. And you're tentatively saying that the building is worth $6.5 million. Is not the building code, and I know the city, the state, the federal building code, is it not if you spend more than 50% of the value of the building that you have to bring the entire property up to standard codes of today?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And we can do that through a couple of methods potentially. And I just want to clarify that the 5.23 of that was HVAC. The other 2.3 was some office modifications. But yes, sir, we would have to obviously make sure everything's code compliant. And obviously, as we go through spaces, we'll have to make sure that each of those spaces are code compliant.
So by not knowing how much is all the rest of the repairs that we're afraid of going forward, I mean, that building, for any intents and purposes, could cost more to repair than the building would sell for. And we would have to, if we started it, we would have to bring that building up to code. Is that not correct?
If we start a construction project, yes, sir, we'll have to make sure that each of those suites, all of those areas are to code so we can get an appropriate building permit and a CO. Yes, sir.
Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Shipley? All right. Commissioner Highlander?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to give Todd Lehman a break and ask Dr. Robertson a question, if I may.
Sure.
And this concerns, when I first came on the commission about 5 years ago, we made a trip down to Georgia and saw a cooperative group. Some of you may have been down there. I'm not sure if you were or not. We took a bus ride down and saw where high school students were working in an industry, and it was highly effective. I think Mr. Baker may have been with us. I'm not sure on that trip. I know. But it was, I know the other chip was from the city, but it was highly effective. I was wondering if Dr. Robertson could comment on the viability of this type of a relationship, if he thinks it would be co-beneficial for the school system and the entrepreneurs, if he'd had any experience or if he knew of any others in the area or anywhere else in the country where it had been viable, that it could be beneficial to both groups.
Yeah. Do I need to give my address?
Name's good, sir.
Justin
We know where to
Robertson,
find you.
District 2. There are examples. There's one right up the road at Bradley County where the school system is working with industry and business at the Pi Center that co-locates both the instructional programming and the business programming. So you have that example. I went blank on the name of the company from years ago. And then you also see this happening in Williamson County and across the nation. I think it's important to remember you reminiscing back to where we were probably 8 years ago. And I'm not one to bring up Kirkman. That's one place that maybe the mayor and I disagree on. But I do think that what this does, and it's an intentional, everybody keeps talking about going fast. I know parts of this are going fast, but this has been an intentional effort over the last really 8 years to improve opportunities for our students. And this is really the last step in that. What we have been really intentional about and doing this by design is that we're going to cement basically the last part of the county to where now every student in Hamilton County has access to career and technical education. One of the most expensive parts of that is the work-based learning, especially when you get kids that can't provide their own transportation. Transportation is extremely expensive. And so by co-locating business there that will tie in that entrepreneurship pathway, it is a great opportunity for us to co-locate with business around this instructional programming that allows opportunities for kids that just quite honestly over the last 3 decades that have been furthest from opportunity.
Thank you. That pretty well answers my question. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Helton?
Thank you, Chairman. I mean, just going through some of my thoughts after listening to everyone. I mean, this is a resolution to really kick the tires. It doesn't mean we're selling it. We as a body have the ability to reel this back in at any point in time that we see fit. The one thing I'm concerned about is maintaining or improving this program through a transition. It seems like we can do that as long as we move carefully. I have faith in the Chamber of Commerce and their ability to do it. Through conversations, it looks like we can do a lot of the transition and build out with grant funding. It may take a little time, but as long as we can have continuity of the program, not really disrupt operations too much for these businesses, and possibly put a valuable piece of real estate back on the tax rolls for the city and the county at a highest and best use, which will pay dividends for the municipality as well as the county indefinitely. I don't see why we wouldn't at least move forward to explore the option. This is exploring. It doesn't mean we have to. It's a step in that direction. We have the ability to undo something once we do it. And we've done it in here several times since I've been on this board. We can say, hey, we don't like this. We're going to step back from it. We've done this with several things where we move forward and just get better information. And I think that's what this is signaling. I don't see why we wouldn't at least take that step in the direction. We have the ability to stop it if we think it's going off the rails or it's not going to deliver what we hope. And I don't want the business community that's located in there to be terrified of the move. I'm hoping the conversations between the chamber and the mayor's office and the tenants, I'm hoping that bears fruit as we move forward. And I'm hoping we can do this in a manner that's fiscally responsible, especially on the build out side of the new facility. That's a concern of mine, but I think the options are there. I think we have the ability to go out and find the money that's not coming out of the pockets of the taxpayers of Hamilton County. Just my thoughts. Thank you all for indulging me.
Thank you, sir. I see no further lights. Commissioner Sharp, do you want the floor back?
Sure, Chairman. I want to start first by saying I appreciate the comments from our colleague, District 7. Generally, he has a measured approach that I appreciate, and I believe that this is no different. I still find it difficult to justify moving from 120,000 square feet to 40,000 square feet and calling that an investment. From my perspective, that is divesting in economic development, reducing our square footage. And for that reason, I'm not fond of this. When we come to a vote, I may vote in the affirmative. But as Commissioner Helton mentioned, a vote on the prevailing side can bring that back up for reconsideration at any time. And that would be my intent. Once maybe a couple other folks see this a little differently. And I want to say, I understand, Mayor, I understand that this project is important to you. You talked about it substantially for a long time, for years. And honestly, I would like to help you fulfill that promise. I'm concerned about where the money's coming from to do it. And I don't know that it's been said that the money from the sale of this property is to facilitate the project at Franklin Roberts. But the way that the arguments have been presented makes me feel that way. So I guess one of the questions, if we were not to sell this piece of property, how and the MLK building, I know we anticipate some revenue coming in from the Ben TIF, has not materialized as quickly as we would like to have seen it materialize. How would we pay for this project? Do we have the resources in other areas to pay for this project currently? I don't know who's best to answer that question.
What are you defining as the project?
I'm defining the newly proposed incubation facility on the 3rd and 4th floor of the Gateway building, above the Franklin Roberts facility.
I'm going to take a step back and explain how this came together in hopes that I answer your question and maybe give some additional context. Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center is going to occupy the 1st and 2nd level of the Golden Gateway facility. Partnerships with corporations, this entrepreneurship program, nonprofit investments that are soon to be announced have frankly accelerated how much activity and how many pathways will be available to students when the school opens. In other words, there's been a lot of excitement in the community, a lot of private investment. And so the entrepreneurship program at Franklin Roberts caused us to have the idea, based on 20 years of study and repeated recommendations from maintenance and from Public Works and the county engineer, that we do sell one of the most prominent pieces of property, on the North Shore, because it doesn't serve taxpayers well. And again, that's not my conclusion. That's something that the county recommended in 2007. It's something the chamber pursued. It's something that Claude Ramsey spoke about, and there was very little controversy when in 2007 and 2008 he talked about how a new location ideally would be more centrally located, that it would have ample parking. One of the things that this body has deliberated on is that we had not had a clear vision for what the 3rd and 4th levels of the Golden Gateway would be. We knew, based on study with architects, that it was not suitable primarily for education use. And so we have temporarily used it based on issues we had at MLK. We've temporarily used it for some county offices, but we knew it's got a great opportunity. It's certainly got a great location. It's about to be adjacent, an amazing school. When Todd Lehman, who's been doing this a long time at a very high level, made the same recommendation he made in 2007 again to me a few months ago, we should sell the BDC. That is what led us to believe that the 3rd and 4th level, and they're best thought of as levels because they are not floors that sit on top of each other. There's a firewall between the 2nd level and the 3rd level. They sit on different floor plates. And so that has been admittedly confusing, because at times we've described it as a 3rd floor, which implies that it is above the 2nd floor. It is not. It is beside the 2nd level, if you will. And so I would say, if your question is, could we build Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center without the sale of the BDC? I think the simple answer is yes, there's sufficient funds to do that. The complexity is that even though there's a firewall between the 2nd level and the 3rd level, it is in taxpayers' best interest. It is in the county's best interest. I even believe it's in the student experience best interest that we renovate the entirety of the Golden Gateway all at the same time. We had talked for a while about a phased approach. There's enough funding, private funding lined up, and I think a commitment from this body to move forward with the full vision. And then we believe, I think as Kenny Smith said well, that the Franklin Roberts Future Ready Center is uniquely strengthened by the incubator being adjacent to it. We recognize that there's disruption That's something that was spoken about in this 2008 chamber planning document. It's something that Commissioner Richard Cassavant spoke openly about this body, that it'd be great to get the BDC back on the tax rolls, but I'm sure that'll be a political process to ever actually go and do the thing. And so I think this has been incorrectly described as my idea. I think it's certainly incorrectly been described as something I've tried to do unilaterally. This is something that my predecessor, County Mayor Claude Ramsey, the staff, we provided y'all with those documents where the staff went through thoroughly, I think 70+ county facilities. The recommendation in 2007 from county staff was do not spend another dime on this building. So this is not my idea. In fact, it's a recommendation that the first time it was made to me, I declined it. I did not think that was the proper path forward. I do think as we continue to explore what happens in the 3rd and 4th floors, I think it's given the vision, the beautiful renderings that we've seen from Tinker Ma of how awesome Franklin Roberts is going to be, it would be a shame to leave the 3rd and 4th floor unprogrammed. That's not going to be a school, but it certainly would make a great modern incubator. And I don't think, frankly, this community knows what an incubator can be, because we've done the best with what we've had for a long time. And what we have is a manufacturing building that's, on the inside, it's a modest facility, cinder blocks, very few windows, very, very few areas for collaboration. It does not look like a modern incubator. There's several incubators in Atlanta, Nashville's Entrepreneur Center, completely categorically different design. And so that's why I say there's a lot of, I recognize that there's some disruption, and that's not invited, but that I think part of what we're missing here is that both on the entrepreneurship side, there's an opportunity to create something that's ours and that's tailored to the needs of startups today. And then there's something I care more about, and that is that if we will be so bold as to locate our incubator where there's ample parking, closer to the central business district, I think it will open up pathways to students. And candidly, I think that's more powerful. I think that is closer to our role here in county government than the incubator is. I'm proud of the fact that we have had an incubator. I think in 2008, there were deficiencies both of the facility and the program that were outlined. Program can be better. Facility certainly can be made better. So we think that the process of going through the design, bringing more partners to the table alongside the chamber. You've heard leaders, the Chattanooga Business Elite, talk about our conversations with them and our desire for them to be a part of it, collab, et cetera. Let's go build something great. And what we'll be able to do that I think is even more impactful than public incubation of companies is that we'll be able to give students in our community great paid opportunities to learn about how the world works.
Potentially. So back to my question, how would we pay for this facility?
I don't know. I don't know which facility you're talking about.
The 3rd and 4th level of the Franklin Roberts building that will house incubation opportunities.
The 3rd and 4th floors will be paid for by the proceeds of the sale of the BDC. That's the reason that we felt like this makes sense, is that you have an opportunity to sell a facility, use funds that were set aside for deferred maintenance that, as we have explained and explained why, have not been, in the vast majority of them are still in the county's accounts, use those funds to go and build a modern incubator in the
Okay.
Gateway facility.
So my question was, if we were not to sell the BDC building, how would we pay for the 3rd and 4th level of the Franklin Roberts facility for incubation purposes?
We're not proposing 2 incubators. We're proposing 1 new incubator at the Golden Gateway facility.
Correct.
So we don't
How
need to
would
know.
we pay for it?
We have proposed the sale.
If we did not sell
We
the
wouldn't do
building,
it. We wouldn't put a second incubator in a building and have an incubator right now that's not being fully utilized. We're not proposing 2 incubators. We're proposing a new incubator
I
that would be
understand that.
funded by the sale of an old facility.
Correct. I understand that. But what I'm proposing is that we do both. And if we were to do both, how would we pay for the Franklin Roberts facility?
I would not recommend that we do both. I would recommend that we quit trying to
Can
do
we pay for
everything.
both? Do we have the resources to pay for the proposal at Franklin Roberts?
I mean, I think you know the answer. I think this is a sort of a performative exercise. I mean, the county's fund balance is a public record. We all know how much the fund money the county has. We recognize the extent to which we issued bonds. Our proposal is very clear. Again, it's very similar to a proposal that was made 18 years ago. And the difference in 18 years ago and today, even 18 years ago, the chamber document that I hope you all read, I know some of you read, it specifically said that the incubator will, as an economic reality, be moving into a smaller space. They knew in 2008, you're not going to replicate this 111,000 square foot facility. And there's frankly a lot of benefit in that. It gives us a facility, I think, that we can manage more intentionally. And so that's the difference in where they were then and where we are now, is that we identified the facility. But Mayor Ramsey talked openly, as did the chamber, about how there was a search. Todd Lehman was a part of the search for a facility that could house the incubator in 2007, 2008. And it did not bear fruit because they recognized it was going to have to be pretty large. It needed parking. They wanted it closer to the central business district. The upper two floors, upper two levels of the Golden Gateway facility work. I think they would have checked the boxes if the county had had this opportunity 18 years ago.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution, and I don't know what the language exactly would look like, that would allow the current tenants of the BDC to continue operation in place until the new facility at the Franklin Roberts Center is ready for occupancy. If there is a second.
Hang on. I have several lights, but I believe they were all on prior to this amendment, so I don't know if these lights apply to the amendment. Your light's not on. All right, I'm gonna go to a light that actually applies to this amendment proposal. Commissioner Highlander, did yours do as well?
Yes, sir. Mine applies to the amendment. It's my understanding that we're already doing that, are we not? We're going to let them stay there until,
Ladies and gentlemen, you were not asked. He's directing it to staff.
is that, maybe I misunderstood, but are we allowing them to stay there until, for a
Well-
year? Will we have the facility ready in a year?
The facility will not be ready in a year. But I mean, you're asking a question about current leases, tenant leases that we're not a party to. So I don't know how many individuals have leases that go. I mean, I think we did a count based on some information we had that half of them did. Again, you've heard us talk about, we're gonna, and we can put some language in the RFP, and we plan to put some language about the new buyer having to take on the lease for a certain level of time. I will tell you that all that does is decrease the value potentially in the highest and best use, but we have committed to either finding space or them transitioning out of their lease and finding new space, potentially finding them space and subsidizing, or requiring a new buyer. I mean, best case, if we close at the end of this year, after we get through due diligence and everything, there'll be a startup time relative to what somebody would do. So we've also talked about them just associate or taking on those current leases. So that'll all be language depending on what a new buyer would do. But we've committed to do all that with the existing tenants.
And we also mentioned a month-to-month lease if we're not prepared to sell yet at the end of a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I would say, Dr. Highlander, I appreciate the inquiry. This is a complicated process. We want for all the companies whose leases extend beyond the county's ownership of that building, we want them to have a seamless transition. If we, right now, as I think this amendment would do, if we constrain the RFP in a way that will limit the best deal for taxpayers, that's a bad idea. We may have to get creative to build a bridge for a few companies. We will work with each one of them as the chief of staff said, right? We're willing to commit to a customized plan. I think it's very possible that if we limit the RFP, the county's done this before, we got professionals, you all tend to trust the staff on complicated, and we've already voted to do another RFP on another county facility, right, with no debate. And similarly here, I would say our heart is in the right place. Our intent is to work, as you've seen us work diligently over the last few weeks. There's been a lot of meetings that have taken place with tenants, with other partners, with the Chamber of Commerce. But it would be unwise at this juncture. Certainly, I speak on behalf of taxpayers. It would be unwise because I think what we could do unintentionally is to make the RFP less attractive. Where we're going to do our best through the RFP process, through that 1-year period. There's a high likelihood that we have a proposal that allows us to go even beyond what we've committed to, just based on the design, for example, the environmental design that a developer may do as they do their diligence and prepare for the future of that facility. We want this to work out, but I don't think we want to limit the potential of this facility in terms of the returns that it can bring to taxpayers.
Well, thank you for your desire to take care of the people. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Baker, did you say your question was related to this?
Yes.
Go.
No, I just think Commissioner Helton pointed out a little while ago that, we're going to have a chance to review all the conditions, and the proposals that come in. So I think at that point, that's our check and balance.
We have a motion to amend to allow current tenants to stay in place until the new BDC is up and running. I did not hear a second, and if I do not hear one, Commissioner Sharp, you still have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I've heard a lot of words about commitment and intent and promises and taxpayers, but I would like to remind everyone here that these business owners are also taxpayers in our community. And they are providing vital services for customers around the globe, for that matter. And it would be nice to think that we can conduct business in this day and age on a promise and a handshake. But in my experience, most of these business deals are executed with contracts. So I don't know how we can go about ensuring the stability of these businesses and their ability to execute for their customers on a promise and a handshake, though I'm sure it's well intended. The various documents that we've seen with various commitments and intents, is this something, I guess I'd ask our attorney, if I may, are these intentions something that we could put in the form of a contract between the county and these business owners?
Short answer is that it's complicated because right now, the county is only a party in one lease, and that is with the chamber. We are not a party to any of the subleases with any of these tenants. And so to make any assurances to these tenants, that would have to come from their landlord, which is the chamber. So to answer your question, I don't know sitting here right now if that's possible, given the terms of their current subleases and the terms of our current lease with the chamber.
Okay. I'm always a fan of the phrase where there's a will, there's a way. And I suspect there's not going to be support for it. But Chairman, I also want to make a motion that we have the county attorney put contractual agreements together for the current occupants of the Business Development Center to ensure the promises and commitments are fulfilled.
I felt like I just heard you can't do that. And I'm also
No,
not
it's not-
hearing it.
Well, what I heard was that it would be difficult.
Okay. Would you like to clarify, Madam Attorney, would it be difficult or can we do that?
I didn't say it was difficult. I said I didn't know if it could be done. Because right now we are not parties to any contract with any of the tenants. So, and right now they have subleases with terms where they're only parties with the Chamber of Commerce. And the only contract that we are a party to right now is with the Chamber of Commerce for our lease on the building. So, I mean, I can draw up whatever you want me to, whether it's enforceable or not, is the question. So I'm happy to talk to you offline about what you would like for me to draw up and tell you then if it's doable.
Okay. We'll have that conversation offline. Thank you for expanding upon that. And I suppose that can be part of the prevailing side decision. All right. Thank you, Attorney. Thank you, Chairman.
Sir, Commissioner Shipley? I've got Commissioner Graham, sir. I've got Commissioner Graham as well.
I'll pass.
Commissioner Graham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is not about the amendment.
No, sir, the amendment did not get a second, so we're not discussing the amendment at this time.
I just want to be clear. Something we didn't talk about was, and I guess this is another Todd Lehman, I'm sorry to pile on you, sir, but something we didn't talk about is if we remodel the BDC building to bring it up to today's codes and up to specs or whatever, we're starting with a 100-year-old building with a lot of issues, correct?
Yes, sir.
If we remodel or reinvent the Gateway building, we're starting with a LEED certified, up-to-date already building that we bought from Blue Cross. I mean, it's LEED certified when we bought it. Is that not correct?
Yeah, much more modern, all new building systems. Yes, sir.
So all of that's already up to code.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our dollars would go further in a LEED certified already building than it's going to go into a remodel because we have to bring that building up to code as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, see no further lights. Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham? Commissioner Helton? Yes. Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right, thank you. 526-10 passes. Madam Clerk, moving on. Actually, I'm sorry, Commissioner Shipley, it's your committee. Actually, let's pause for a minute. We do have some attendees that are leaving. We'll give them a moment to.
You want that?
All right, everybody's being quiet. Commissioner Shipley, you want to go ahead and kick us back off, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. 526-11.
Resolution 526-11, a resolution to authorize the county mayor to increase the design contract with Tinker Maw LLC for design of the Gateway Career Technical Education Building renovation for an amount not to exceed $2,586,565.44.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Shipley, second by Commissioner Beck. I see no other lights. We do have someone, oh, excuse me just a moment. Commissioner Sharp, I see your.
Yeah, I just have one quick question. based on my understanding of the state formula for architectural fees, this equates to about a $40 million project. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. I think it's like, yeah, and it's in that document. It's like, $48 million.
48 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, see no further light. We do have someone standing. Name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Christine DePietro, 1015 Brentwood Terrace, District 6. Okay, this is about this resolution. Thank you for all the questions you all asked during the previous resolution. We asked a lot of questions over the last couple weeks, and we were looking for answers about it. And related to the Tinker May contract, HK Architects and the deliverables they provided about the Business Development Center kept coming up and kept being mentioned, but we could not see the documents. We were never told specifics of them. I did put in a public documents request in order to see those documents. And within the allotted period, I received an invoice for $250 for 7 hours of labor to find documents that were consistently being referenced. So I thought they would be easy to access and like the baseline of what you guys would be using and what you all would be looking at. If something is worth $250, I want to see it, but my husband said absolutely not. And so I think my request with this, I do understand the resolution just passed and there are so many more questions to be asked and we will be in touch with all of you. But my request with this is how can we make these designs accessible and public record where appropriate? Because going through that process and not being able to understand numbers or real data is really frustrating as a citizen and as a taxpayer.
I mean, short answer to you, your number one access to this entire body or anything in the administration is your commissioner, but you can also contact the attorney's office directly if you have legal questions.
I appreciate that. Still finding those documents was not possible within the time period we had before this meeting. And my commissioner made the mistake of giving me his personal cell phone number. So he's heard from me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. We have somebody else comment on this item?
Just public comment.
Okay, so the public comment can be had, but it's only pertaining to this specific item we are talking about right now.
Is there time for?
There is at the very end. Yes, sir. You will have 3 minutes at the end of this meeting for a general comment. Yes. Okay. All right. See no further.
Mr.
lights,
Chairman,
no-
Mr. Chairman, can I just clarify?
yeah,
I
yeah, go ahead.
misquoted. 45.8 was the, Commissioner Sharp had mentioned a number that was close and I misquoted a number, but that is in your packet. It is state fee curve based on a $45.8 million construction project.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lehman. All right. No further lights. No one standing. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey, Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander.
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp,
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley.
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. 526-11 passes. Commissioner Shipley?
Well, I've skipped down to 526-14, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 526-14, a resolution authorizing the county mayor on behalf of Hamilton County to enter into and execute a contract for sale and purchase for certain real property located adjacent to Interstate 75 and Volkswagen Drive with the purchase price of $525,000 and associated costs to be shared equally with the city of Chattanooga.
What's the
Move
will of the
for-
commission?
Motion.
Move for approval.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Shipley, second by Commissioner Beck. And I've got some lights. Let's move to them. Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Chairman, rather. I took the liberty of speaking with the former property manager, and he said a few years ago, he looked at the assessment, he said there definitely, Commissioner Shipley, tell me if I'm wrong, but Paul Parker said that there is definitely not a right-of-way into this building. The city and county granted a temporary easement, but there is no right-of-way from the park. Am I correct on that?
That is what I was told. And I think that should be correct. Is that correct, Todd?
Let me just make sure. Are we speaking about the Boy Scouts property?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, it must have gotten a new number, so I apologize for that. So there, and I believe the county attorneys reviewed this. The county commission did approve an easement for the Boy Scouts several years ago. There was some requirements for them, which they did not perform. So that easement currently is no longer in effect.
Thank you. And my research looks like, and maybe the attorney or someone else can tell me for sure, that was, the assessment is based on that being an industrial site at the 525,000. And the former property manager felt like, he said a few years ago, about 6 years ago, when he looked at it, that it was maybe at 35,000. He thinks that we're way, he's one of my constituents. And he said, at that price, we're way overpaying for it. He said, we're wasting his taxpayer dollars to pay that much for it. I would like, before we pay that much money, I'd like to get an independent assessment of it. If it is not industrial property, we need to see what it's actually worth before we put our share of over $500,000 in it. I don't know if I personally would like to see a reassessment of that property or a second assessment before we put that much county dollars into it. And I'd make that in the form of a motion.
I'd second that. Can I ask a question?
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
All right. All right. So Commissioner Highlander, you are making an amendment to this item to get a second assessment of the value prior to moving forward with this item.
Yes, sir.
Not sure how we amend an item to move forward with only after we get a second assessment. But let's go to questions first while I think about that. Commissioner Baker, you said you had a
Yeah,
question
just
about
a
this.
quick question. Attorney Varnell. You sent some really relevant information. Basically, we had granted an easement some time ago, didn't happen, whatever, but the reality is somebody else could come in and buy this land and probably get that easement back. Isn't that correct?
They would have a compelling argument to get the easement. The reason being because the easement was contingent upon the Boy Scouts constructing a parking structure. And obviously they didn't. That's why the easement expired. But the compelling argument is if they constructed the parking structure, the easement would then run with the land, which means it would run with whoever bought the land after the Boy Scouts sold it. No matter who it is, no matter what company it is, whatever, that easement would run with the land. And so that's a very compelling argument for somebody to come in and purchase the land and try to get the easement back.
Yeah, so we need to buy this. The question is at what price? So I'm good with that assessment.
Good. Gentlemen, I've got 4 lights and I'm not sure how many may pertain directly to this amendment. Commissioner Eversole, yours is to the amendment?
It is. I would agree with this. I think we need to get the best value for this property, but I am strongly informed that we need to purchase this and then we need to make sure that the future of this property sticks with what Enterprise South is intended to be currently. So I would, and that would be changing the zoning for it as well.
Commissioner Graham, do you have a comment about the amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Eversole just alluded to the second part of his question was mine as well. I mean, I would like to see what fair market value would be for a piece of property if and I'm assuming that the city has already done this research, but I mean, because they're leading this, right?
Yeah, there is an appraisal that was done that talks about the access constraints. I mean, I can read it from the comments and the appraiser had it at $25,000 an acre, so it appraised at $490. I think the current negotiations and acceptance with the local Boy Scouts is the 525. My only other understanding, and I wish the city was here, I don't believe they're here to speak about it. The only other conversation we've heard is at some point it may transition from ownership from the local Cherokee Council of Boy Scouts America to the national level. So I don't know what that means relative to a purchase.
And then to
but
us
I
if we
do
bought
want-
it, and then to us if we bought it.
No, I'm saying that the current offer that's been made and negotiated by the city is with the local Cherokee Council, the Boy Scouts of America. And my only point is, I think at some point before if an offer's not consequated, in a purchase and sell agreement, which is what we're talking about, it may transition ownership to the national level, which we may not have an offer at that.
And then we'd have to renegotiate again.
That's my understanding, and I've read a few emails. I've not had a direct conversation with Gail Hart, but I know Mr. Kirk may have. I know our real property manager, Lynn Mansfield, has. That was some of the issues relative to timing, but I just want to make everybody aware of that. But we do have an appraisal. It does talk about the issues relative to access, the other things, but there is an appraisal. I think it's in your packet.
So there's time constraints. I guess, Mike, you can answer this. There's time constraints on this offer already.
Yeah, well, and Mike's just talking more about relative to if we don't get this deal at this, there may be a different buyer that may want. But to your point, I can pull up the emails again. I wish the city was here, but there was some time constraints relative to ownership. I am aware of that. Only third party. I haven't been in part of this. Yeah, I will real quick.
And the other thing, Mr. Chairman, the other thing to the amendment is we haven't talked about the zoning until Commissioner Eversole brought it up. I brought it up the last time we talked about this resolution. Have we got an agreement with the city that they agree that they want it rezoned like we want it rezoned to be a park? I mean, is there an agreement to that in any way? Since we're gonna be co-owners, we would have to have that agreement to rezone it to what we need it for. Open spaces.
I'm not aware of any agreement. I don't know if anybody else is. I would assume.
Mike, is there
You
an
would've known.
agreement with the city, or, I mean, did they agree to rezone it to?
No, they have not taken that up. I'm not aware that they've taken up rezoning of the property. I will tell you, as the property owners, if we do purchase it, it would be an application, obviously, by any or both of us to put in a application to rezone it in the future. Obviously, we would be in control of it. If they didn't want it rezoned and we did, but they wanted to sell it for manufacturing and we didn't, we would still have some control relative to being a joint property owner. That's the only thing I can offer, not an attorney. But I don't know that the city's taken up any measure about getting it rezoned.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we need to add that to the amendment, but my concerns are, I mean, I'm all for buying this property. I think I said it the last time, it was a donut hole. We don't want anybody else to buy that donut hole out from under us, and then we have a park all the way around this piece of property, and then all of a sudden we have Twin Peaks in there. So what I think we need to do, and if we need to do it in the amendment, that's fine, but there needs to be something in our verbiage, at least to our future partners on this, that we have every intent to rezone this to be a park. And it needs to be in the language, I believe. I mean, I'll confer with my colleagues, but I'm not opposed to getting another price or getting another appraisal. But since he's got the appraisal in hand already, and we have a possibility that they may transfer ownership from local Boy Scouts to the National Boy Scouts, and it's time constrained, we might be opening up a can of worms and actually costing the county more money, because we don't know that the National Boy Scouts will actually sell it to us for this price when we've already got an agreement now. So, I mean, I'm okay with an amendment if it includes zoning, but the amendment has, if we're waiting on an amendment to get a better price, then it needs to be quick. It needs to have a time stamp on it to where we have a definite time to whether we buy it or don't buy it by this time, so we don't lose the opportunity.
Commissioner Highlander, can I ask you a question on your
Yes, sir.
amendment, sir? Based on Mr. Leanman's response and the fact that we do have an appraisal already, are you still interested in an amendment to go get a new appraisal outside of the one we currently have in hand?
Yes, sir. And may I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it is not appropriate to have industry totally surrounded by the park, by the nature park, totally surrounded. They have no easement to have industry. They would have to have a major thoroughfare through the nature park, which I think is totally inappropriate. And I mean, we would have to break into the nature park to do that. The only zoning that should be is a natural zoning rather than industrial. I'm not against industrial, and I want industry in a proper place. This is just not a good place for it. And the city can't, neither we nor the city can claim this for industry unless the other partner agrees, the way I understand the law, and I may be incorrect, but that's my understanding. And there is no easement. There is no, the easement was made to put a cell tower in. That's the history of why they were going to do that small easement, not for a major transportation into industry. It is totally, to my way of thinking, it is totally miszoned for industrial. 19 acres of really rough terrain, totally surrounded by a nature park with no access is, and I'd say 525 is probably a reasonable assessment if it was for industrial use, but it's just not capable for industrial use, I don't think, and not appropriate or capable. So that's why I think we should get it reappraised, but it should be before its proper use as a nature park. So I would like to see a reappraisal. I think it's way overappraised for what it's capable of being used as.
Okay. I've still got a couple of lights. Commissioner Shipley, is your question about the amendment of Commissioner Highlanders? Hit your light, sir. Or not that light, I'm sorry, your mic, your mic. There you go.
Total price to us is 525 or half of that?
Half of that.
Half. So only, well, that makes it look better on my part to clear up. Now, there was easement through there. How wide was that easement? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I'll have to ask. I mean, it was just an access easement and then also had a parking lot to the side. So it may have been a 30-foot access easement. I don't think it was 50 feet, but it was an access easement for an entrance drive to that property, or at least an access drive to that property.
I was told 20 feet, but I could be wrong.
Well, the commission approved that as part of so I'll have to, we should have that in here.
No further question.
Commissioner Helton?
Thank you, Chairman. Is anyone actually aware of a timeline? Is this when it's going to be transferred or foreclosed upon, or however it's being disposed of? Does anyone actually have something solid for us? No?
I don't have anything solid.
So I keep hearing time is of the essence on it. And I'm with Commissioner Highlander. I think we need to secure this. At what price, right? But it sure would be nice, because we keep hearing how urgent this is, but nobody knows how urgent it actually is.
Well, I think, and I'm trying to get a timeline on that. I think there's two things going on. I'm assuming there can be another buyer that wants to come and purchase property there that would challenge the easement. And the timeline may be they're already working a deal. I do understand from what Gail Hart had produced in a document that they did think at some point it would go receivership back, because they were in, I think, some settlement issues, and that's one of the reasons why they're liquidating the property. So the only timing issue is control of the property. And I don't want to say that we've got a whole lot of time, but I guess anybody else could step forward. Maybe nobody will at 525.
And, and one other concern I had, gentlemen, is economic development funds being allocated to purchase this. Do we have a more elegant solution, some bond funds that this would fit into, rather than pull from that economic development kitty?
Well, we could use bond funds for that. We have not allocated those funds for that purpose. And I will defer.
Ask and
to-
you shall receive. Okay.
We have recreation bond funds, so for the 2024A, I think since we're talking about the nature park and we're talking about our neighbor, securing this land with recreation funds, I think would be viable. And we always talk about, when we're in zoning, talking about our neighbors, and if you don't like who your neighbor is going to be, you should buy the land. I feel like we should buy this land. So I think the city of Chattanooga would be a good neighbor for us. So I'm recommending that if we don't want to use economic development funds for this, that we could use recreation bond funds for this.
Have these monies been committed anywhere else
No,
so
sir.
far?
No,
No.
sir.
Okay, so this is money on the shelf as a just in case?
As part of the 2024A bond, there was $5 million set aside for recreation. This is some of those unearmarked funds, just like we did the 250 for each of the municipalities. This is some funds that we haven't earmarked for anything, but could go towards recreation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Graham, is your light for the amendment, sir? Please. Okay, still related, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What about hotel motel tax? It's a tourist, it's a park, it's for tourism, what about hotel motel tax? And it wouldn't be a bond, it wouldn't be no interest.
Again, we have some hotel motel tax money that has been set aside for recreation projects that could be used for that purpose. Again, that, I don't want to spend all of Matt's money.
It's not my money. No, once again, I think the idea is it's whichever solution we like. And once again, to your point about no interest versus the hotel motel, I'm supportive of that. I just think that we need to purchase it. And as far as the reappraisal goes, the problem is that right now those property is zoned for industrial. We can't get an appraisal at a open space because we're devaluing their current property. They're not going to want to sell it to us at a not real zone right now, right? Like they have industrial land, they want to sell it at the industrial price. And so I think for us, securing it at 50 cents on the dollar with the city, I'm supportive of either direction. I just think that, from a recreation standpoint, we should secure this.
That's a very good argument. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Chauncey, I see your light, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. So my question is to his point there. If this body chooses to order another appraisal and it's still zoned industry and hoping that you're going to get a lower appraisal so we can renegotiate, you're wasting your time. If like you just said, if they're wanting industrial price for park, we're going to pay industrial price to use it as a park. If you were to have it rezone park and then go have it reappraised, you're going to get probably the number that you're looking for. So again, if you're going to choose to do another appraisal with the current zoning, you're wasting your time in hopes to get a lower amount. So I wouldn't suggest doing that.
City or thumbs up?
It's it's city, but like I said, the current zoning is industry. If you're going to do another appraisal, you're going to get the same result.
All right.
All right, that's all I got.
Good,
Chairman.
sir. Commissioner Highlander, I saw your light, I believe Commissioner Baker also has one. Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull my second on that. I think we go ahead and vote.
Very well, Commissioner Highlander, you now no longer have a second on your amendment. Would you like to pull the amendment? All right. Amendment pulled. I see no lights. And thank you for your patience waiting. We do have an opportunity for the public to speak. Name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to discuss the item, and it's no longer the amendment. It's just the item in general.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes.
Melissa Ray, 4006 Dearmont Court, District 10. Thank you for that great conversation. That was really helpful even for our own understanding. We've been watching this issue very closely. I'm here on behalf of Save Enterprise South Nature Park. And our organization and the community members behind us are asking you to please vote yes on the purchase of this 19-acre Boy Scouts parcel, and just as importantly, to commit to rezoning it as protected open space. This parcel is not just another piece of land. It is landlocked, as you know, by Enterprise South Nature Park, and it serves as both the scenic gateway and a natural buffer for the park. It is currently zoned for heavy industrial use, which is obviously not compatible with the protected natural landscape around it. This mismatch creates risk. If the property is not protected, any future development would directly impact the integrity of the park, whether through the pressure to, as we've been discussing, provide access easements and thus revisit having to lift those permanent protections that everybody knows so well by this point. There is a strong public expectation amongst community members that the park's conservation status is going to be honored and upheld. This is our opportunity to permanently remove that uncertainty. So it is risk mitigation. With both the city and the county stepping in to purchase this land, it would ensure that our local government and by proxy the public controls its future. There is of course the other hurdle. Ownership alone is not enough. Without rezoning, the underlying industrial designation remains, and so does that risk. That's why taking the steps to rezone the land is so essential. And the Regional Planning Commission has already made their recommendation that this parcel be maintained in its natural state and rezoned for open space. The community's spoken clearly and consistently. We want this land protected. In this particular case, protecting the land is not just about the trees or the park. It is also about public trust. And it's a demonstrable investment in our quality of life here. So are we going to leave open the possibility of incompatible development connected to one of our most loved public spaces? So your vote to purchase, followed by rezoning, ensures that the land becomes what it already feels like, part of the park, part of Enterprise South Nature Park, permanently. And I did just want to add that, it is our understanding that there is a real time constraint to this decision. So there is that added pressure that it could be lost out from under us as early as tomorrow. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Anybody else wanting to comment on this item? Commissioner Highlander.
Just quickly, Chairman, I'm not sure who I need to ask this, but I believe that is in the city of Chattanooga. So the rezoning would not come back to us, it would come to the city council, am I correct?
That's correct.
So while I want it rezoned for Nature Park, I truly do. But I would, we can't depend on city council to rezone it the way we want it done. If we do nothing, we have to agree and nothing can happen. Well, I don't know. I'm just concerned that it may be taken away from the nature park, and that's what I do not want. Okay, thank you.
Understood. Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know if I need to do this in the form of an amendment, so I'm gonna ask the question and you enlighten me. First of all, I want to change it to where we are paying for this with hotel motel tax in this resolution. And then also I want to change the resolution, and if I have to amend it for this as well, I think we need the language in there that we as the owners, I'm looking at the county attorney, that we as half owners have every intent to have this rezoned to be for the park. That way our co-owners would know our intent in writing in the resolution going forward. I don't think, I have faith, I have very strong faith in our partners in this property, being the city council, that they will want this too, and to preserve the property. But this legally shows them our intent to secure this property for a park. So does that need to be in a form of an amendment, or because this, how do you want to handle that?
You can do both of those in the form of a single amendment to change the funding source to hotel motel tax, as well as adding the language that is the intent of this body to seek rezone to open space.
I make that amendment.
I have a motion. All right, fails for lack of second. We are moving on to no further lights. No one else. Commissioner Sharp?
Thank you, Chairman. I like the spirit of what Commissioner Graham is going at here. I do not like the idea of using hotel motel money with it for that. I would prefer to use the same language, but change the funding source to the recreational bond fund. And I'm happy to say that in the form of a motion.
So same amendment, but instead of the funding source being hotel motel, you want it to specify the recreation bond fund.
Correct.
Okay. Madam Attorney, do you understand the request that has been made for this amendment? Or Madam Clerk, I guess?
Yes, just to clarify, the funding source will be the recreational bond fund, and there'll be language added to the resolution with the county's intent to rezone it from industrial to park.
Do you agree with that, Commissioner, as the amendment?
I'm sorry? Oh.
I think for zoning, it's the same. I think it's more signaling the intent than the specific zoning.
No, does it matter? What do you guys prefer? Park or open spaces? Open space.
That is fine for the language. Commissioner Graham, did you have a light on the amendment from Commissioner Sharp?
I
Please
did.
go ahead.
So I'm understanding that we'd rather pay interest on the money and have our property tax owners pay for this bond than we would let our tourists that come through here and not burden our taxpayers at all by not using hotel motel tax money. Because using the bond, there's gonna be interest on that money, and it's gonna be a payment just like we're going to the bank and borrowing the money. If we use hotel motel tax money, it's being paid by the tourists. It's not being paid by the people on Lookout Valley or Alton Park or East Lake or anybody else. And it's a park that everybody can use, but it's not a burden on District 11, nor are we paying interest. So I'd like that clarified. Commissioner?
Is it for me to respond?
I mean, I'll respond to that
Okay.
unless, Lee, do you want to confirm if we use the recreation bond fund, do we incur additional interest payments by using that fund?
No, we've already borrowed those funds.
That's
so
exactly what
they-
I thought. The money's on the shelf. We're already paying for it. There's no additional interest that we'll be paying. We just haven't spent it.
That's why I changed it.
But we're not incurring additional because the money's already been bought, but already been borrowed, but if we use it for this, the interest payments still have to be paid, correct?
Again,
And it's being paid by homeowners.
well, the bonds are already being paid regardless. Regardless of the use of those funds, the interest is going to be paid. Right now, we've allocated those funds for parks, but they could be used for other projects also. So either way, it's, I don't know that there's that big of a difference between using hotel motel funds that are set aside for recreation projects versus using bond monies for recreation projects.
But
Both are valid options.
the bonds are being paid back by our property tax payers, correct? Our homeowners.
Yes, that is correct.
Whereas the hotel motel tax is being paid for by tourists.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Helton?
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the point you're trying to make, but the money's fungible. I mean, we could take the recreation bond funds and build a park, or we could take, just like Lee was saying, we could take hotel motel and do it. It's dollars coming in, dollars going out. It's a fungible thing, so I don't think it really matters either way, but anyway, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp, do you have something to add?
I did, Chairman. My concern about the hotel motel tax is that this doesn't, and I do not believe that this would qualify under statute as hotel motel tax expenditure. If I may, I would like to ask our attorney to speak on that.
I would agree, Commissioner. I think especially because this property is zoned industrial currently. And at the time of the sale, it would be zoned industrial, and it would require the city of Chattanooga to then rezone it to open spaces or recreation. I think it would be a very close call as to whether it would qualify under hotel motel.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. I'd like to err on the side of safety here if we could. So, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Attorney Barnell.
Commissioner Shipley?
If I got this right, we're gonna spend $212,500.
262.
Yeah, we don't even have no jurisdiction as to rezone.
Correct.
City of Chattanooga. Now, is City of Chattanooga gonna do that? Because they're surrendering valuable industrial property here to turn into a park. Are they gonna be willing to do that? I think City of Chattanooga back, not us.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Thank you, Chairman. So if we buy it for whatever that price is, and then the city of Chattanooga, for some reason, turns down the rezoning for a park, we still have it. It'd be a legal, non-conforming property. I don't really know if we could probably, I guess we could probably still turn it into a park, even though the city of Chattanooga may turn it down. I mean, actually, Ken Rannick, do you think you could comment on some of this as far as what they could and could not do if we still own the property and the city decided not to rezone it, and we still have it as an industrial property? So, and we could probably still do what we want to with it. I can see concerns over here that, well, why should we buy it if we don't know if the city will zone it or not? And that's a valid concern, but I think we could probably still do what we want to do with it regardless.
Ms.
Karen?
Rennick, do you want to comment on the rezone authority?
Thought maybe RPA could tell us what they think.
So I know that there has been, the folks from Enterprise South Nature Park have communicated with the city regarding the possibility of rezoning that to the open space zone. And I think the response was something along the lines that there were no definite plans for the property at this point, but that someone from the city more specifically could speak to that. So could the property be used for open space undeveloped under the current IH heavy industrial zone? I would think so. When it starts to become parking area, facilities, bathrooms related to the park, I don't have the zoning code in front of me, and that would be something that when we need to check the zoning to see if that was allowed. But just passive green area for the enjoyment of kind of open space, I would believe that would be allowed. But I'm certainly happy to share information with your attorney.
That answers my question. Like I said, yeah, I think the main purpose of this body is to not really do anything with it. Right? So if it stays industrial, it's just legal, non-conforming. So that's my opinion about the zoning debacle. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, final light, Commissioner Heiner.
It cannot go industrial unless, I guess it's a legal question for Ms. Farnell. It cannot go to an industrial zone unless both we and the city agree. Is that correct? It cannot be developed as industry.
It already is.
It's zoned that way, but to be developed, don't we have to vote on that?
But we don't want to develop it.
Right, we don't. I don't want to develop it. But if we don't want it developed as industry, even though it's zoned that way, the city can't do it without us, correct?
We would be co-owners of the property.
Correct.
You're correct.
It takes both owners in agreement. So that's my point. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we're going to go with a roll call on the original resolution, or actually on the amendment first. Sorry, I forgot we redid the amendment. So we're going to go roll call on the amendment.
And the amendment is to change the funding source and ag language of the intent to rezone to open spaces.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey,
Yes.
Commissioner Eversole,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, Commissioner Helton, Dr. Highlander,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp,
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley,
Yes.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes. On the amendment.
Commissioner Beck, Chairman Smith.
Yes. All right, the amendment passes. We will now do roll call on the item as amended. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Baker, Commissioner Beck,
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey,
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Helton. Dr. Highlander. Commissioner Sharp,
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Yes. All right, 526-14 passes as amended. That takes us to the Public Safety Committee. Commissioner Beck, I believe you've got 5 items, sir, in your committee.
Yes, Madam Clerk, can you read for us, 526-4?
Resolution 526-4, a resolution to amend Resolution 825-9, which included an allocation of bond funds to the Dallas Bay Volunteer Fire Department for $75,000 and allow for a change in the approved use.
Motion approved.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Beck, second by Commissioner Shipley. No lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner
Yes.
Baker, Commissioner Beck,
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey, Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp,
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Yes, 526-4 passes.
Please read, 526-5, please.
Resolution 526-5, a resolution approving the purchase of annual software maintenance for Inform RMS software amounting to $187,291.66 from Central Square Technologies LLC, beginning June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027 for the Sheriff's Office, and authorizing the county mayor to sign any contracts necessary to implement this resolution.
Motion approved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Beck, second by Commissioner Baker. No further lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Beck.
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey,
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander.
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp.
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Yes, 526-5 passes.
Please read 526-6.
Resolution 526-6, a resolution authorizing the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office to submit a joint application with the City of Chattanooga, and if awarded, accept the 2025 Justice Assistance Grant through the Department of Justice and amending the Sheriff's Office capital outlay budget by $51,000.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Beck, second by Commissioner Shipley. No lights, no standing. Roll call.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Beck.
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey.
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander. Commissioner Sharp.
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Yes, 526-6 passes.
Please read 526-7.
Resolution 526-7, a resolution approving the purchase of 6 vehicles amounting to $273,731.70 from Two Rivers Ford, Inc. and Wilson County Motor Company from the state contract SWC-209 for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and authorizing the county mayor to sign any contracts necessary to implement this resolution.
Motion approved.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Beck, second by Commissioner Highlander. No lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Beck.
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey,
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander.
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp.
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Yes, 526-7 passes.
Please read 526-8.
Resolution 526-8, a resolution to authorize monies of $87,265.07 collected as a result of Sheriff's Office confiscated firearms from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 25 to be transferred to the Sheriff's capital budget.
Mr. Chairman, after we had some discussion about this, I recommend we approve it.
Second.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion by Commissioner Beck, second by Commissioner Eversol. Commissioner Graham, I see your light.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a quick one. I guess it's for Lee. Is there any more money left? Or does this end that pool of money, or does he have more money left, or?
Well, I guess you'd have to ask the sheriff on that. In our view, this money was already gone and it's already been spent. So I don't know if there's any more. Ron, any other similar type funds that y'all have got? Or Sheriff?
I had to get him to clarify that. I don't know how money could already be gone that this body hasn't approved to be spent. He can't use that money until it's approved to be spent in the resolution. I haven't proposed anything other than this.
All right, Sheriff, the question being, is there any additional funding of this sort that you have remaining, is Commissioner Graham's question.
Not to my knowledge.
I was just curious if there's more money available, that's all.
No, we actually, I think we collected about 100, but the 87 was firearms. The other was general property. So all we're asking for is the firearms, which is.
Firearms. So
part of
exact
state
amount
law.
for the firearms, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That good? All right, no further lights, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck? Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton?
He is left.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes. 526-8 passes. All right, moving on to Public Works and Zoning. Commissioner Highlander, you have two resolutions, sir. 526-12 is your first one, sir.
Resolution 526-12, a resolution authorizing the county mayor to enter into and execute a landscaping maintenance agreement between Hamilton County, City of Chattanooga, and Pipe Properties LLC, allowing Pipe Properties LLC to maintain a designated portion of the Tennessee Riverwalk.
Got a motion by Commissioner Highlander, second by Commissioner Chauncey. No lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey? Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander? Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes. 526-12 passes.
Resolution 526-13, a resolution adopting a fee schedule for the new Hamilton County Planning Department.
Move to approve.
Is this light on?
All right, motion by Commissioner Highlander, second by Commissioner Shipley. See no lights. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Eversol?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley? Chairman Smith?
Yes. 526-13 passes. That ends our items on our regular agenda this evening. That moves us into announcements. Commissioner Shipley.
Thank you, Chairman. Sheriff Garrett,
Sheriff.
are there any way you can run over to that Champions and get some more chicken over there? That's all I have.
Commissioner Baker.
Well, I would have been there, Sheriff, but I was waiting. It took till 11 o'clock to get the results in, so, but I appreciate the invite.
Commissioner Beck.
No announcements.
Commissioner Sharp.
None, sir.
Commissioner Hilton is gone. Commissioner Chauncey.
No one else, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Highlander.
I want to thank the citizens of Hamilton County for getting out and voting and encourage them in every election to please get out and vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Eversol.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Two things. Number one, don't forget, next week is graduation. Hamilton County Schools. It's hard to believe it's moved this fast. So next week, our graduates will be graduating from high school. So I know up here, we will be at some graduations next week, so to cheer them on. Second thing is, Lee, I guess we tentatively have a budget schedule,
Yes, sir.
and it's the 27th, and I'm sure Chairman will talk about that date here in a minute, but on the 27th, it will be a long day. We'll have the general county government, so the mayor will be presenting his budget, and then we'll have Dr. Robertson will be presenting his budget from the school system. So we'll start at 2:00. I think each is about an hour apiece. Is that correct, Lee? I think roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
And, but we're, and then we'll break from whenever we end, and then we'll start our regular meeting at 5. So I think Patricia's taking care of some grub. So thank you Thank you, Lee. This should pretty much wrap it up. And also, I think the tentative date for this body getting the budget books will be the 21st, 22nd of May.
22nd.
Okay, so that's on a Friday. So the
Yes,
22nd is when we'll be getting our budget books. And if you want a physical copy, make sure you reach out to Lee. Otherwise, we're getting it digital. So we went through that, I guess, last year. So you'll be able to pull it up with your tablet. So that is it.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Graham.
No announcement.
Madam Clerk?
Just a quick housekeeping, the county clerk's office received a copy of the 2025 annual comprehensive financial report.
Very good. Thank you. Madam Attorney?
No announcements.
Mayor Wamp, administration, any announcements? All right, the only announcement that I have is to remind everybody, as Commissioner Eversole was alluding to, we will be meeting on the 27th. That's not in our normal cadence. We will not be meeting on May 20th because there is a conference for commissioners at that time, and most of the commissioners are out of town. So we have moved the May 20th meeting to the May 27th date. And that is all I have. And with that, we're going to move on to the public. Any new discussion other than zoning? Start with your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name's David Patton, Patten. I live at 901 Young Avenue in Chattanooga. Dr. Highlander asked me to say a couple of words, but this is in reference to the BDC building. I appreciate all of y'all spending the time to ask the tough questions, especially you, Mr. Sharp. I'm one of your constituents. I'm 68 years old. My family came here in 1863. Carpetbaggers from Illinois. Civil War started Chattanooga Medicine Company, became Chatham. But when my grandmother's first husband died, she married Paul Cruzy, who worked for Thomas Edison in Menlo Park, who came to Chattanooga and started American Lava Corporation, which is now became 3M, which is now the BDC. And as the mayor eloquently said when he, in his opening remarks, that he walked in this building and preserved the history of the building, I immediately said, I remember walking into that building as a kid and when it was fully operational. But as I get older, you know, we've lost a lot of structures I wish we could have saved. Ingle, you know, I could go on and on, the car barns, blah, blah, blah. I would just ask, and you know, I would have preferred that you delayed the vote till we had the numbers and all the drawings and all that kind of stuff. But you did the RFP, which is good. It would be nice to see that building preserved at some level instead of wrecked, because I can just tell you this, the best use is probably another apartment building. And we need another apartment building, Claire would agree, on the North Shore like a hole in the head. It takes me, I live on Young Avenue near the Riverview Park. If I get off at Manufacturers Road, it can take me as much as 20 minutes to get to my house, which is about a mile. We just can't afford any more traffic. So when y'all go through the RFP, it'd be nice to see that building preserved. I'd hate to see it hit the wrecking ball. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. So the next one, you have 3 minutes and begins with your name and address.
Arthur Kaczynski, 317 Wygota Circle. As folks in Nashville, like some related to elected officials in this room, are currently voting to choose who their constituents are instead of the other way around, I fear the state and possibly even our country is going to ways of autocracy. Single party rule. That is what the purpose stated by Marsha Blackburn, our senator, said. It should come as no coincidence that this is rushed vote to change the voting landscape of Tennessee comes after the reinterpretation of the Voting Rights Act by the Supreme Court after it was ruled on. I asked for several of our state representatives if it was coincidence yesterday, but surprisingly, they told me that I would have to ask Marsha Blackburn or Bill Lee to speak on behalf of them. I have a video of this. The Voting Rights Act was written in blood. Rushing the redistricting of our great state nullifies the sacrifice that millions of people made just to have rights that the rest of us have. I will not name the related officials here today because the role of this body silences me on it. But Esther Helton Hayes has voted yes to push the redistricting. And if the related parties had an ounce of pride for our democracy, they would make it known by denouncing this action. Regardless of the party Single-party rule makes us no better than China or Russia. I have no doubt that those of us who do have pride in our great state and country will prevail, but we have to speak out before our voices are silenced for good. Thank you.
Before I start my comment, I have a document for the commissioners. Can that be passed out?
Ms. Patricia will take it from you. Go ahead, ma'am. Ma'am, your time starts when you come to the mic, so please proceed.
Okay. I'm Jessica Bonham. I live in Glass Farm, District 4. I'm here today to continue the conversation about 287G and its local impact. I'm sure that most of you know that our state legislators have seen fit to mandate 287G agreements for every sheriff's office across the state. Without the opportunity to terminate this agreement, transparency and accountability are more important than ever. Sheriff Garrett has not publicly shared what the cost is to our county budget to fulfill this agreement and maintain our collaboration with ICE. Those costs were not included in his budget presentation, and now his attorney is evading open records requests. I want to direct your attention to the email chain between myself and the sheriff's attorney, Brian Bush. You'll see that I requested all arrests and bookings data in Hamilton County for 2025 and received that data. But when I requested financial records to analyze the cost of our 287G agreement, Mr. Bush responded with, "The HCSO has received your request, and we anticipate that we will be able to fulfill or deny parts of the request on or before July 16th. Now, I won't go into detail about the many ways this response violates the Tennessee Public Records Act, though I highly encourage you to read through the email chain. I will ask, why is this information being intentionally obfuscated from the public? The organization I work for, Caleb, obtained this exact same data set for 23 and 24 and compared that to what we received for 2025. Here's what we learned. And you can follow along with me on the back page of the document that I've shared with you. In 2023 and 2024, 32 community members were transferred to Immigration Services. In 2025, 311 people were transferred. That number of transfers grew 20 times from one year to the next. There is most certainly an increase in personnel and jail accommodation costs. We also know that 91.64% of those individuals transferred to ICE identify as Hispanic. When we look at Hispanic community members arrested over the last 3 years, we can see a clear increase in arrests for this demographic, which raises huge questions about racial profiling. The only way we can answer these questions is through transparent and responsive government. I ask you to help us attain this data, or at the very least get a clear reason for why we were denied or delayed the release of these public records. We as taxpayers have a right to know what portion of our tax dollars are being spent on kidnapping, detaining, and deporting our friends and family.
Hadrian Turner, 4006 Dearmont Court. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you. On behalf of Save Enterprise South Nature Park and the many residents who spoke, wrote, and showed up, I want to express our sincere appreciation for your vote to acquire this 19-acre parcel. Tonight's decision reflects thoughtful leadership and a clear commitment to protecting one of Hamilton County's most valued public spaces. By acting now, you've removed uncertainty and ensured that the land completely surrounded by Enterprise South Nature Park will remain consistent with the park's purpose. We also appreciate your recognition that acquisition is only part of the responsibility and that long-term protection through appropriate reshuffling will be essential. We look forward to continuing to work with you to see that step through. This decision sends a strong message that Hamilton County values conservation, public access, and the long-term quality of life of its residents. Thank you for listening to your community and for taking action to protect this space, not just for today, but for generations to come. I'd also like to thank Matt for speaking in favor. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Money Bell, the homeless journalist, the great here at Fox, man with the $1 trillion voice. Shelby County is what I want to talk about. Ever thought I'd have to go back to Memphis? I'm going to say something here I've never said before to people. Many people just seem to know me, and it just creeps me out. I had to trust when I was a kid. There was one man that I had to trust wholeheartedly. His name was Robert Bob Hill, if you knew him, resident of Chattanooga. I was taken under his care because of an incident that happened at the Brushy Mountain State Prison when I was only about 14 or 15 visiting. They had a lot of heinous people locked up in there, and unfortunately, Monty Bell was locked up with them. Made me the youngest guy to ever be incarcerated behind the wall of a state penitentiary. The youngest ever. I had to trust him. And by the way, he was the attorney that represented a guy by the name of James Earl Ray. You all might remember him. So I really had to trust him about what was going on in this country. Shelby County, I've got to go back. I presented to all of you in the city council an immediate removal from office ouster. Nobody had ever presented that since 1915. I know for a fact, I've got it right here. Give me a copy of it. I handed it to one of you that's on the dais. In fact, person that I handed it to, he and I are engaged in a contest right up the stairs here. Case of Monty Bell, and you don't want me to call his name, but I'm looking right at you. Docket number 25C 919, Circuit Court. Real quick, there's a lady by the name of Wanda Halbert. You all look her up in Shelby County. She became the victim somehow of Monty Bell's immediate removal from office ouster. She has a motion status hearing on tomorrow. I did more telemarketing in Shelby County yesterday than they've ever received in their entire life. They just can't stand the voice of Monty Bell in Shelby County. I've asked her attorneys to motion a stay until we can figure out how our DA and the county mayor are the only two people whose name appears in an immediate removal from office ouster. It's $2,111,034,000,000 for your fraud. We'll see you the next time you hold whatever you hold.
Hi, my name is James Raymond, 1818 Skyline Drive. So I had the privilege of meeting with one of the commissioners previously, and just request that if you could attend an event that we're having coming up on June the 4th at Abba's House. So I work for Oxford House. We're a nonprofit organization. We have 31 houses here in the community of Chattanooga. And what we do is we offer sober living support to men and women in recovery from long-term substance abuse and alcoholism. And we have this documentary that we're going to be premiering. It's a world premiere. It's the first one ever created. And we've been around for 50 years helping those men and women. And we'd love for the opportunity of any of you commissioners that could join us to actually come and see what it's like for these people living in our houses. And that's really all I've got. Thank you very much.
Can I just tag on that, Ken? Sure. I just want to say I met with James, and it's really a unique program. So get a chance. You can read it right here. It's handed out, and then try to go if you can. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Evening. My name is Shirley Moon. I have been before you all once before. I live in Ridgedale, 2107 Bennett Avenue. I've been there for over 30 some odd years. And I wanted to play this. Oh, I hope I can. Okay. Anyway, it was a message from Chief Dawson. I can't find it right now. But I've been having quite a bit disturbance on my neighborhood. Not my neighborhood, on my property. You can pass this out and show some pictures and evidence. People's coming in my fenced-in yard, which police had me have it locked up. They come in, they have cut down trees. Just last week, they came in and cut down some branches off of my, you're gonna have to spread it around because it's not enough for everyone. They come in and and I don't know why. They put water in my car. Just the other day, I had a roof put on my house by Langley. And they came back, they left grooves in my yard. And they came and put wood chips in my yard. I cannot walk in my yard, it's not level. So I don't know what's going on with them. And they will not respond to me. And you can see all the incidents. This is what my front yard looked like, the first part of it. Someone came and mowed that down, all the way down to the ground. And when Langley came, they broke my fence. Well, they didn't break down. They took the fence off the hinges and just left there. That's disrespectful to my house, to my property. And you can see where they had all kinds of trees that cut down off of there. And they have messed up with my car, pulled the socket out of my car, my blinker out of my car. It was parked inside my yard. They trespassing it, and I have reported to the police and report. And I have reported so many times when that lady policeman was there, she did come send some policeman out to my house to see what was going on, but nothing ever did materialize about it. There once was a program for people who lived alone. I don't know what happened to it. They would come and speak and talk to us and, make us feel like we were human, we part of the community. But that program need to be back in existence. I just don't know. Whatever that you all can assist me with all this intrusion on my private property, I would appreciate it very much.
All right, Tim Martin, 2418 Janeview. Hi, you probably guessed by my shirt, I'm talking about the BDC, 100 Cherokee Boulevard. I'm a member of Chat Lab Makerspace, which is one of these meaningless nonprofits at the BDC that you're not worried, or WOMP isn't worried about finding a new home for. Through participation in Chat Lab Makerspace, I found the inspiration to go back and get a college degree. And I have actually moved across the country and came back because of what nonprofits we have here. I now host a twice monthly repair cafe where people from the community can bring their stuff in and have us fix it completely for free. So I think it's important as this whole process moves forward to keep in mind the value of not just the businesses and the schools, but the nonprofits, because the nonprofit has done exactly what the incubator at the new center is expected to do. I'd like you all to keep that in mind.
Anyone else from the public to comment? All right, Commissioner Eversole, did you say you had a comment, sir?
Yeah, and I failed to mention this earlier. Sheriff Garrett asked me to mention this next Friday is the law enforcement memorial ceremony downtown. So please add that to your calendar. We're growing that to make it a larger success in honoring those that give their life for our county and surrounding counties as will be honored. We do have a special speaker, Frank Seiler, who is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation's chairman, will be coming in and speaking. And he's the one that lost his brother during 9/11. And he was actually running towards the towers. Then there was a picture of him running towards the towers that they memorialized as a part of this of this foundation, but he is the guest speaker, and I would encourage you, please, please, please come. Believe it's at, if I remember right, it's at 11 o'clock on May the 15th at 11 a.m., 600 Market Street. If you've been to it before, we shut down that area, so it's a big event, so thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. No other business. Our regular meeting is adjourned, and we will move into our agenda meeting after a 5-minute break.